Good evening, sim race fans. We are back for part two of our doubleheader from Kentucky. We had our truck race earlier, in which we saw Cole Custer, as we mentioned earlier, kind of luck into the win after a questionable pit call by race leader Rowdy Burns with about 10 to go. But like we said, we are back from what is now, I guess, still technically sunny Kentucky, but the lights are on as we are heading into the nighttime for round number 4 of the Sim Xfinity series. Kevin Harvick, I believe, is your point leader coming into tonight by 1 point over Jerry Nadeau. And as always, myself, Josh Conover in the booth. Nick Geilis normally opens, but I said, hey, you know what? I'll take a swing at it and see what happens. So Nick let me open, but Nick, if you are good to go, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, we're good to go. Ready for some Xfinity racing. A lot of unknowns for us on this one. Usually we do some practice races. We get a little bit of information. We know what we're looking at heading into these things. We don't know anything. We know nothing about these cars and this series and this group of drivers on this racetrack. And quite frankly, I am more excited for that than I've been for years done so far.
Yeah, I know earlier for the truck race, we had mentioned that kind of, you were, I guess you could say, covering the truck series, and I was covering the Cup series as far as practices went. And I guess you could also say the Xfinity guys kind of got the shaft, as you could call it, as we, not that we didn't really pay attention, but we were, seeing what was going on with the other series. But
what I'm noticeably surprised by right there, and I don't know if it's because Suarez is a much slower car, I'm not sure of his ratings at this particular moment, but these guys seem to use the outside line with a lot more effectiveness than we saw the truck series.
yeah, and that's, I think we had mentioned earlier, obviously we try and get the rubber as close to what the last race ended with, but the AI are a little bit tougher as far as like laying rubber down. Which I'm sure if anybody did watch the truck race or that is tuned in now, I'm sure you can definitely see there's not as much rubber on the track. But obviously as the race goes on, and even for practice, that'll obviously change. But it could be a mixture of things. Like we said, we haven't seen the Xfinity cars on track. This is the first time really we've seen them here. So that could be interesting to watch as I say we roll into the night, but I think the lights are actually already on.
Yeah, I think the sun's still up, but it's lights are definitely on. Yeah, sun's still up somewhere. I don't really know where it is on track. We're right along the world's fastest run, and it might just be hidden somewhere. Who knows? It hasn't gone down yet. Essentially, there's still some light in the sky.
Yeah, it's I believe it is Harrison Burton up ahead. Yeah. So you mentioned it.
Man,
Guys
he's
running
outside line the whole time.
I believe that was 4. He just passed on the outside. Harvick being 1. As Briscoe, Harvick's teammate, goes by on the bottom, but then he went by. I believe that was the 31.
Newcomer Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, and then I'm not quite sure actually who's up ahead of them, but we're gonna go 3 wide. Briscoe kind of strutting his stuff a little early, but no, we saw last week at Homestead, Harvick went in there second, got stage points, led a lap, and comes in tonight with, as far as Supercross is concerned, they call it the red plate, but we call it the red banner. As there you can see the lights are on. I will say a beautiful background with that sunset.
Absolutely, this is a very picturesque Sparta, Kentucky. We were supposed to be in Vegas technically. We weren't able to get out to Nevada due to COVID restrictions, so we came to Kentucky, and I think it's just a beautiful sight.
Real quick, we will touch on our newcomers per se, as I believe I mentioned earlier. There's about 7, 8, maybe close to 10 new guys. Right now, the number 33, Anthony Alfredo, will actually go to our, as you like to call it, world's fastest drone for this one. But Alfredo's sitting P30 in the 33. His teammate Daniel Suarez sitting 24th in the number 36. Not a newcomer, but last race winners Leroy Jenkins sitting 22nd. Bubba Wallace, I guess you could say one of the probably biggest debates as far as where he deserves to be. He landed in our Xfinity series and right now is sitting 20th in his 2311 Racing Toyota Supra. And we have another teammate to Suarez and Alfredo, I believe. Brett Moffitt sitting 20th. Christian, if you watch this, we need a paint scheme. Thank you. Darren Pittman, SW Racing driver in the Toyota Supra. Dirt guy in real life. I guess team owner Shane, who's actually in this race as well, wanted to put him in the Xfinity series. So here he is. Shane, again, if you're going to watch this, we need a paint scheme.
And they're getting their motors from old Nightmare Incorporated.
That is correct. I believe that was the first, I guess second, because I guess you can consider me and you kind of a somewhat alliance, but different manufacturers, but you could say, I guess, on-track alliance.
First manufacturer alliance.
There you go. And then he's also not new, but point leader Kevin Harvick sitting 17th. Newcomer to RCR, Tyler Reddick in the 31 sitting 15th. Another RCR driver, Kurt Busch, sitting 13th in the number 1. Outlaws, I believe, 4th and final driver. Ross Chastain in the 39 sitting 11th. Another driver for RCR in the 29, Austin Dillon. His brother Ty Dillon is in the Cup Series.
So go figure on that one.
Yeah.
Suarez went 6th.
Yeah, Suarez jumped up. I just saw it in timing and scoring. I thought I'd already covered him, but he snuck up on us.
You had.
Back to SW Racing, Shane Weinmiller, team owner and driver in the series, sitting 5th. Again, Shane, if you watch this back or you happen to be in the stream already, need some paint schemes for you, bud. And then finally, obviously in real life, he drives for Gibbs and is co-owner of 2311, but nobody had him in the Sim series, and me and you kind of decided, we'll be the Michael and Denny of the Sim series, and old Denny Hamlin, second car for 2311 in the Toyota Supra, sitting quick time right now.
Yep, and we kind of did that with 2 teams essentially, in an effort to fill out the grid, and I think we are under the agreement that should we get to the point where the field is full, and we have new owners that want to come in, we would remove those drivers per se to make way for a new owner. But as of right now, they're in the field, they're ready to win, they're here to race well, and certainly I think Denny Hamlin showed up big immediately.
Yeah, and I think you said it perfectly. We kind of put these guys in and more so just fill the field for right now. And as my timing and scoring took a poo and says nobody's on the track, but we obviously see Kevin Harvick, so that will be an easy fix, luckily. But
well, technically nobody was on the track.
Well, that is true. But no, like you said, kind of just filling the field. We still actually have, I believe, 3 spots. I think Xfinity in real life starts 38.
Right.
35, so.
We also have all the way up to 42 on the amount of cars that we will allow in the season for each series.
That is true as well.
They won't, not all 42 race, but 42 can be a part of the series, and some will go home.
And just to touch on the actual iRacing world, one of my sources via, however people like to say it, on Twitter, for your Coke Series drivers, Chris Shearburn was quickest in final practice in the Coke race. And speaking of 2311 racing, Keegan Leahy goes quick time and pole at Homestead.
Interesting. How did Malik do?
I do not have a full grid.
10-4.
But I can find that out for you as Kevin Harvick comes trying to complete lap number 1, I believe.
So it should be, and he goes top of the board. Provisional pole. Well, and now he's not.
Just kidding.
It's Chase Briscoe.
But as we've seen, the guy that has the pole after lap 1 normally does not hold it come lap 2. So
Yeah, and especially in this case, because this is kind of surprising to see him grab top spot.
and he is actually, I'm not really surprised. He was a 99, and Harvick was my only
Okay,
100,
fair
but
enough.
Briscoe is a part of the 100 club now. And he goes
Well, he went
P2.
P2, but who went P1? It's Shane Weinmiller.
So how about that? And actually, the guy that was provisional pole beforehand, P2, coming to his completed second lap, all the way down to 19th, Kevin Harvick.
Oof.
And actually, this will be an interesting duo to watch try and come through the field because right in front of him, 18th, your
Jeb Burton.
boy Jeb Burton. But Shane Weinmiller, first start in the series, going to get his first pole. And as we mentioned, well, actually, I just mentioned, the new driver of the 100 club, old Chase Briscoe, going to line up to his outside. So we're going to get rolling to the grid here. As we mentioned earlier, the lights are coming on. And again, timing and scoring has pooped the bed, I believe.
You gotta love timing and scoring on that one.
See, there's the drivers, so that works. But yeah, no drivers on timing and scoring. But I should be able to pop this up and boom. Okay. So as we mentioned, new driver to actually I think all 3 series, if I'm not mistaken. Not sure if he has a Cup driver or not. But Shane Weinmiller, first Xfinity start, first pole.
He is a cup driver.
Right. Okay. So yeah, Weinmiller on the pole. Briscoe, the new 100 club driver, will line up second. Bobby Labonte, Leroy Jenkins in row 2. Ricky Craven, Denny Hamlin, second highest new driver, will be 6th. Harrison Burton, Ross Chastain in row number 4 in 7th and 8th.
In ninth, we see Noah Gragson and Kyle Busch. 11th place sees the two new RCR teammates, Kurt Busch and Austin Dillon. 13th is Darren Pittman. 14th is the last of the new RCR cars with Reddick. 15th is Justin Barsha, and 16th is Jerry Nadeau.
It's interesting to note too. Harvick is your point leader by 1 point over Nadeau. They will be rather close on the grid as Bubba Wallace rounding out the 2311 Racing drivers in 17th. Jeb Burton 18th. Point leader Kevin Harvick 19th. Eli Tomac will be 20th with his teammate Jason Anderson 21st. Old Hibbs, Matthew Hibbs will be 22nd. Ty Majeski 23rd. And Jack Moff 24th.
Rolling out from 25th is Jarrett Brooks, and 26th we see Cooper Webb. 27th is Daniel Suarez, and I believe that is Brett Moffitt, his teammate, to the outside with their other teammate, Anthony Alfredo, in the row right behind him.
Mm-hmm.
To Alfredo's outside will be my girl Danica Patrick, and then we have Doug Matog and Ryan Beat making up the rows of 31 and 32.
And the other female in this series, Haley Deegan, 33rd. Jeffrey Earnhardt will be 34th. And Travis Pastrana will roll off from 35th. And as we will clear that, I will see if it actually works with me hopping in the car this time. And we will jump out. And it did work this time. All right. So as we get...
Who knows what happened with the truck series?
Yeah, it beats me on that one. But we'll get the driver info pop back up. And then real quick, before we do get going, we'll look at the race conditions. Again, obviously 34 track temp, still cool here. Less wind, track temp, I believe up a little bit from earlier. I forget. Actually, we forgot to check that there towards the end.
It's down a little bit from what we checked earlier.
Okay, so it is down a little bit. So that'll be interesting to note. And then obviously our race analysis: 200 laps, 300 miles, stages at 45 and 90. Pit window again. This is kind of just a rough estimate per se, but it was pretty spot on for the truck race. But kind of narrowed it down a little bit. We're looking at about 50 to 55 laps.
Yeah, and this is, this is a nice D-shaped oval. We really like and enjoy these types of tracks in NASCAR, apparently. If you're not named, or you really enjoy these tracks if you are named NASCAR. Not so much if you're a fan, but, these are the lifeblood of the schedule. So
by the way,
you have to be good here.
Sorry to cut you off. I do have your lineup, which I will get to you once we get going. Your boy Malik is buried, by the way, which I will let you in on that once we get going. But big story, First time we've seen Xfinity cars on the track. We have no idea what's going to happen, so we are glad you guys are along for the ride. 200 laps, 300 miles, 45 laps, stage number 1. Shane Weinmiller, first race in the Xfinity Series, leads to the green. We are underway for round number 4 from Kentucky.
As the Nightmare Power Units lead the inside row, and you've got a JRC car out on the outside.
I kind of touched on it, as we were going through the grid. Jerry Nadeau, Kevin Harvick, probably the two most consistent drivers we've seen in this series to date. Looking back, I believe it was 16th and 19th, or 18th and 19th maybe, and Jeb Burton was right there with them. So we'll have to see what happens as they try and come through the field. Shane Weinberg will lead lap 1.
And Bobby Labonte is able to get around Chase Briscoe, gets him up high, and you can see what that's allowed as Leroy Jenkins to his inside. And now here comes the other Susie teammate, Ricky Craven.
Yeah, Briscoe hopefully going to get some slack here from his teammate Harrison Burton, who I believe is kind of replaced Briscoe as far as the 99 rating club. But Briscoe went to the bottom, and he's like, I'm going to try the second group, and it's going to work as he powers around Ricky Craven.
Yeah, and we were starting to notice it in the in a little bit of the practices. This outside line here seems to, if you can use it to make the pass properly, you can get around the guy.
Yeah, properly is meaning not what Harrison just did. As he went in, it looked like actually a little bit too deep and kind of washed up middle of the corner, allowed newcomer Hamlin to get by. Hamlin, you could arguably say with his experience in real life, saw Briscoe do with Craven lap before. He gets right to his right rear and will clear him before the line to move him up into 5th.
Absolutely. Now, this is probably the entry or the side of the racetrack where if you want to go to the high side, I think we saw it works a little bit better in the truck race here, but maybe we can see Harrison make it work on this end of the track. Who knows? He's going to have to use it to try to defend Noah Gragson, but that's not really working out there.
Seems like it's a fine line. If you can kind of run in that second groove, I would say right now, pretty much 4 lines in 3 and 4. You got obviously the bottom, got like that quarter of a car up off the bottom where we've seen Briscoe and then Hamlin make the passes, and then I would obviously your third being the middle line, and then your very top. There's a lot of lines where you can use 1 and 2. Earlier we thought was better, but update on the 3 guys we mentioned. Harvick actually leading them up to 14th as there's contact to leave with Nadeau, and that would be Tyler Reddick, but Harvick 14th, Nadeau 15th, and Jeb actually falling as he was caught up top behind Kyle Busch back to 20th right now, and they are stacked up right here.
I think Kyle Busch just hit the road.
Big problems. And Kyle Busch did hit pit road.
Caution. Yeah.
So big problems for Jeb. Actually, with this Ty Majeski, and I don't know who all else got involved in that. But we stay green, and I don't know if Jeb's going to get back to pit road.
Oh, yeah.
He will not.
Oh. That's a heartbreaking moment there.
It looks like actually his rear axle's out of place.
Caution's out.
And there is the caution.
Can you look at those temps real quick, bud?
So Jeb does
he
end
was
up
on the racing surface.
But that would be the first caution we've seen. Is actually, I believe Cooper Webb is also on pit road. So we will just
there's
check.
Probably a handful of cars here on pit road.
So he drove it back.
Danica drove it back.
Danica did make it. And actually, that's the only 3 on pit road. I am surprised that Ty Majeski's not on pit road. But we're going to go back and take a look at what happened. You can see it right there. But we will go to our world's fastest drone camera.
And go just a little bit further back. So
actually,
you can see it with Kyle Busch diving to pit road. Basically caused the stack up, and I'm still not sure as to why.
Gets into the corner. I think he just got a bad entry. Kind of checked the corner up, and I don't know why he. That kind of reminds me of the Rowdy Burns incident as to why he checked up, but
yeah.
See what happens right here. I think Ty just thought he was going to be clear, and came off the track, and Jeb was there.
He wasn't. Yeah. So, and he ended up ruining Jeb Burton's day there.
Which I would assume Jeb had engine damage. Interesting to note, 8 laps in, everybody coming down pit road. As obviously Cooper Webb, Danica, and Kyle Busch were already on pit road. We will see what happens here.
Well, that is really interesting to note that everybody comes on the pit road almost immediately.
We're gonna put this one in some suspense and see what happens here. But as we wait for the race off pit road, I will update you. I said Leahy had the pole, Zelensky second, DeYoung third, so 23-11, sitting 1 and 3. Shearburn and Alfalo were your top 5. As I hear cars coming. Briscoe
It's going to be
first
Briscoe
off by
first
a
off.
good bit.
I'll say. There goes Shane. Jenkins. Kurt Busch. I'm still waiting to see Bobby Labonte at that point.
He was 8th behind Kurt Busch.
His pit crew letting him down again.
Some big names. Novak Mullis, 14-15. Kerwin, 17. Ottinger, 20. Clampett, 24. Conti, 29. Malik Ray, 33rd.
Oof.
So, yeah.
Well, that's the she's going to come from the back on that one.
Not I'm sure how Malik wanted that one to go, but
no, I don't think so.
But interesting to note on our side. So 2 things actually. One, I figured we could try it, as Majeski's actually on pit road now, getting damage fixed. He's going to try and beat the pace car. I think he was cutting it too close, but we will see. Went back to the original restart formation. It'll be double file, lap to the back.
Okay.
So we'll see. I figured maybe not super speedway. In theory, it should work. We'll see. If not, then obviously we know. But I kind of went off the truck racing. We had more cars, and there was no issues.
Stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, and there was no issues. But we also did not have a lap 10 caution.
Also true.
But interesting to note, Briscoe, I would say 2 tires and just topped it off with fuel. As he had a 9.8 second stop. Everybody else about 15, and Bobby was a 20.6.
So 4 tires for Bobby.
I think everybody besides Briscoe was 4 tires. Because like I said, he was a 9.8. Everybody else was your average, 14, 15. So
we'll have to see what that does with Briscoe now in the lead.
Actually, I lied. Doug Mytag had an 8.8. So I would say he even potentially just even fuel only being a full second faster than Briscoe. But obviously, we've seen pit crews can make a big difference. So
yeah. Well, like I said, it's going to be interesting. Certainly, you don't think tires are a big deal, but this is probably one of the rougher racetracks on the schedule.
Well, interesting to note for me, as actually we will look to see. No, Cooper was on. I said Cooper did make his way all the way back, so that's already a bonus because we saw that at Daytona they couldn't get to the back.
Yeah.
But so they should be. Here we go. So, but so you see Weinmiller second, Jenkins third, Hamlin fourth. So Harrison Burton up to 5th now. And again, the main 3 we talked about in the beginning: Nadu, Harvick, and then obviously Jeb. Jeb obviously we know at first DNF, and sharing row 7. Nadu and Harvick.
Yeah, they're not going to get away from each other all night. I can guarantee it.
Well, it's 1 point. And I mean, I would argue too, at least as for right now, with the restarts seeming to work. Obviously, we have 3 guys a lap down, and they actually all made their way to the back, being Kyle Busch, Cooper Webb, and Danica Patrick. So far, so good. Cooper came off pit road right next to Briscoe and made his way all the way to the back with no damage from anybody else. So far, so good. Obviously, it's only lap 10, but we will see. As I'm not going to lie to you, I love the restart camera Shane gave us.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
I'm just a big fan. Shout out Shane if you are watching. You're running some pretty good, buddy, so far. But pace cars off.
More Digger cams.
Yeah, well, we do have 2 of them for this camera pack, so we'll check them out. Let's go back. Green Briscoe on the loud pedal. Green flag is out.
Green flag.
And we know here for sure they can make it now to the end of the stage.
Absolutely. So, well, no, because it was the question of could they make it to the stage before. But you were right. Now there's no question of it.
More so, well, not really a question. More so, would anybody kind of short pit? And I guess now we can actually have a name for it. We'll call it the Rowdy Burns strategy and pit when you don't really need to.
Yeah.
But we saw it earlier in the truck race, Weinmiller getting caught on the top, and right now he is getting trained to the back.
Yeah, and you can kind of see it happening to Bobby Barney as well. Just being stuck up on that high line, it can kill you.
So there was your first digger cam, and here comes your second one as you see Briscoe leading the field towards you down the back chute.
That was a great game. Oh.
I believe I saw Harvick's somewhat getting
Out of shape, maybe?
Maybe. I thought I saw him 3 wide as we
They are 3
wide.
Tomac just about gets left rear quarter panel of Ross Chastain, and that could have been a bad ending to the day. Very early.
It's interesting that we kind of touched on in practice too, how the high line might be more usable as Labonte actually goes around my tag on this in that second groove again. I am interested that that's like a thing right now, and not in 1 and 2. I thought if it would be anything like that, it'd be 1 and 2. But right now, it's like the bottom 1 and 2 is kind of acting like they used to in 3 and 4 for the truck race, where that was your, quote unquote, have to be down their lines. We might be 3 wide again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Bobby's going to end up way out of the groove on this one, and that's going to put him. Well, actually, that's going to end up being all right for him again.
It seems like I guess it must be, the higher speed. That second, third groove. Maybe not so much the fourth groove yet, but arguably, definitely that second and third groove, definitely going to give you the runs off the corners you need to either defend like Bobby just did, or make the actual passes. Briscoe still leads.
So I think the 2-tire strategy for Briscoe is probably going to work out decently well. What I'm assuming was a no-tire strategy for the top. I just don't know if that's going to be able to hold out.
It's going to be interesting to keep an eye on because, granted, they only had 8 laps, but, Briscoe right now is still clicking off laps faster than Jenkins behind him. Shane Weinmiller actually a 32 flat to Briscoe's 0.67 and Jenkins 0.88. But actually, Noah Gragson actually the same lap time as Shane Weinmiller, 30 flat. So Kurt Busch 29.9, Pittman at 29.9. So a couple nines in there still.
As we see that Shane decides that he's going to try his luck on the high line, and it just doesn't work through 1 and 2.
Interesting to see if he gets the run like we were talking about, though. It actually looks like he will not. As Kurt Busch.
No, it looks like from what I've seen, coming out of 1 and 2 on the high line, it doesn't matter who it is. They look like they get loose, and they lose all momentum that they would have gained.
Which, it could be a speed thing, too, like I was talking about as we have a paddle for the lead. Are we not live? We are live. I guess timing and scoring had a bug. Okay. But no, like I was, well, yeah, for some reason it said Hamlin was battling with Briscoe, and Briscoe was second. But anyway. But yeah, I think it's got to be something to do, with obviously momentum, but just overall speed, too. I think you trying to pin down the bottom and, make that run, you're just kind of pinching yourself down and making it harder on yourself to kind of keep your speed and make a pass maybe, as I will let you cover a lap or two maybe, as I have a friend on my arm.
Okay then. Well, Noah Gragson continues to run 5th as he attempts to run down Shane Weinmiller and Denny Hamlin. He's followed by Kurt Busch. So it's going to be an interesting thing to watch tonight with this, like we said, this higher line, and seeing how it rubbers in, how it becomes more useful, if it becomes more useful. It's certainly, we noticed towards the end of the truck race, was that the higher line was becoming more of a possibly viable option to make a pass. Now, given it still wasn't really the line to make a pass in. Obviously, you want to be on that inside line, but it became more viable, and I think the outside line here is already an option through 3 and 4, but it's certainly not the option through 1 and 2. As you can see, both Gragson and Kurt Busch go up there, and I think Kurt maybe might have an okay run with this one. Actually, it looks like both him and Gregson got up decently well there, and maybe they'll be set up well through 3 and 4.
Well, as we get further into the night, I guess I can partially take blame for not setting it too high as far as the track state, but obviously longer race by about 66 laps, I believe. So that line will come in eventually at some point. As the rubber gets laid down and everything. But there was Darren Pittman looking like he got a little loose. But interesting to note though too, Briscoe arguably either a no tire or 2-tire stop. I will be honest, I'm shocked he's been able to drive away from Jenkins like he has.
Yeah, I am as well. As there goes Ricky Craven on the outside, using exactly what we've been talking about with that high line. What you can possibly do coming off the 3 and 4.
Yeah, it's like I said, I'm surprised. I figured 1 and 2 would have been the turn, say 2, 3, maybe 4 different lines. But right now it is 3 and 4. Like I said, arguably, 4 lines for these guys to work through, and it seems like right now that second line, just barely up above that rubber, you can kind of carry more speed, more momentum, and you're able to make all those passes.
Yeah, and it carries you just so far down the straightaway when you do that.
Just real quick, I want to check on our back markers, being Travis Pastrana right now, who's about half a straightaway behind Earnhardt. But let's see where he's at relative to Briscoe.
About a corner and a half.
Yeah.
About half the track, maybe.
Yeah, 20 to go in the stage. Briscoe's running 31.4s now. Pastrana 32.4s. So, I mean, a second a lap. Yes, it'll get done, but might need a little more than that.
Absolutely. Is right now, if we were to finish the stage this way, Jerry Nadeau takes the point lead back.
That is correct. But
by 1 point.
I mean, not trying to obviously be biased or anything, but I think Harvick's more of a longer run guy. So I think even at Homestead, we kind of
Where did he come from at the end?
Well, but it seemed like at the end of every stage, he kind of had that little bit extra left in the tank. And I would argue, too, you even saw the same thing from Ryan Blaney in the Cup race. He kind of ran, I think it was like second or third, like stage 1 or stage 2, and then kind of like 20 to go, he kind of found that fifth gear, as a lot of commentators like to say, and was able to push up towards the front to end the stage, and I think ended up obviously winning one of the stages. So, still over 10 to go. I think we're about 15 to go at this point, 16, 17 maybe, but still plenty of laps. Like I said, he's kind of running the same lap times as Nadeau right now in the 29.6 range. But we'll see. I mean, teammate Briscoe right now is still 29.3s, but it's like I said, still early. And even then, he was actually faster than Nadeau by 4/10. Nadeau, obviously in this pack, but Nadeau with 31.8 to Harvick's 31.4. Actually, Harvick fastest car on the track that last lap.
Yeah, and Ricky Craven gets around Bobby Labonte again for 10th place.
And much like the truck race, actually, here's Kyle Busch sitting 3 laps down up here running with these boys, saying, yeah, I might be lapped, but I'm still on the racetrack, fellas. You're going to have to, get around me the hard way.
Yeah, we found the other Rowdy Burns strategy for tonight. And yeah, I don't understand it. I don't understand why he hit pit road. There wasn't a scratch on that race car from what I could tell.
Well, the only bonus that we can say for him right now is he's the only car one lap down. Obviously, unless Pastrana keeps losing about he's 32.7 to still a second a lap. He's about a straightaway and maybe half a corner ahead. So unless something drastic happens and Briscoe catches him and puts him a lap down, Kyle will get one of those laps back, and then he'll obviously be 2 down. That's about the best thing he can hope for right now.
Absolutely is. I think Harvick's under fire from Ross Chastain now on the outside. And here comes Jack Moff.
And you can kind of see it right there in the middle of that corner. He got down to that yellow line, which in theory is what you'd want, but I think it's just scrubbing off too much speed. I think, as he actually hit it again right there, but I think the AI, for the most part, like we mentioned at Homestead specifically, because typically you see them run the higher line. I think they're programmed to run the bottom, and I think it's just scrubbing off speed. So I think the guys that can roll like you just saw from off, that third line or even the second, kind of right at that right rear quarter, they're able to carry that momentum and that speed, and it's just carrying them through the corner onto these straightaways. And you can see the time he's lost to Chastain already.
Absolutely. So it's hard to watch somebody kind of just keep going through and doing the same thing over and over and not making the adjustment. But it's what the AI do, and now it's going to be Harvick who's going to maybe be on the outside. No, he's going to be able to keep it down to the inside.
I know we're trying to cover our stuff, but interesting note here from my Twitter source: the green flag is out. 5 laps in, and there are connection issues. 7 drivers have fallen out of the server.
Wow.
Bobby Zelensky, Ray Alfala, Graham Boland, Derek Justice, Garrett Maines, Blake Reynolds, and Kane Cook all fell out.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and considering I think I said Zelensky started second.
I believe so.
That's pretty big if you ask me.
Yeah.
But back up to our stuff, Harvick actually has gapped these guys as Chastain has gotten around Nadeau. And you mentioned it a couple laps ago. Nadeau was running 9th. He's already back to 12th.
Yep, and so now, if they finish the stage this way, neither of them get points.
Actually, he's falling back pretty quick. He's running 32s now. Harvick and everybody in front of him and around him, 31.7, 31.8. Actually, the first 32 isn't until you get back to the Reddick and Dillon range in 16th and 17th. They actually are battling, as I mentioned that.
2 teammates going at it.
When I mentioned Briscoe kind of driving away from Jenkins, that gap is now 0.3. So Jenkins kind of making a late race charge here as we're coming to 9 to go on the stage. And once again, we'll check on Pastrana. And it's only a corner, so I do believe they're going to get to him. He's running 33 O's. He hit a 33 flat that time to Briscoe's 31.9. So
yeah, I think they're going to catch him with ease at this point.
But as we saw in the truck race, lap traffic, as we know, always plays a factor. And I would argue this is going to be make or break for Briscoe, as I'm pretty sure he could use the points, and I'll actually check on that. But the big mover late in this run, Ross Chastain.
He's going to steal Harvick's nickname.
That's looking that way. I mean, I had mentioned Harvick kind of late in the runs, like, hey, I saved my tires, here I come. I would argue Ross Chastain has done the same thing.
Yeah, I don't think we've mentioned him since the drop of the green flag, but here he comes.
He's actually looking at points. Harvick leads, as mentioned, by 1 over Nadeau. Labonte is 11 back, so right now he is also outside of stage points. Leroy Jenkins is 4th, 16 back, and then Harrison Burton 5th, 32 back.
Now the difference there is that Leroy, I believe, is sitting in 9th. Sitting in 2nd.
Yes, Leroy is 2nd, and that gap actually has grown again to 0.6 of a second. And once
but now Leroy is
starting to catch him.
Oh yeah, but now Leroy is also starting to possibly be coming under fire from Denny Hamlin.
He's definitely getting there as
Chastain's going to go around Ricky Craven now.
And Jeb Burton, by the way, was part of that 3-way tie with Craven, himself, and Tomac for 6th in points. That will obviously change. I guess the question now would be by how much, depending on how everybody else does around him. But I believe we're on 6 to go. Briscoe's lead is out to a 2nd, but here's where it's going to get interesting.
Yeah, he's certainly caught Travis Pastrana in probably the worst moment there, because he would have had to have checked up for Travis Pastrana coming out of that corner, and you could see just how much Jenkins and Denny Hamlin have closed up there.
Yeah, I would argue not as much as it could have been, though. It looked like Jenkins had to check up kind of last minute as well.
As now Denny might be looking to the inside. No, Jenkins chops the nose off, and he's able to keep him behind him.
As once, I hope this caution hurries up, because I have to make a pit stop of my own. Gotta love when it just kind of pops up on you. But nonetheless, we're going to try and keep it focused and keep it entertaining nonetheless, as we are now on 4 to go. As here's your battle for 4th, as Braxton's going to get caught up behind Pastrana. That is going to open the door for Kurt Busch and Darren Pittman as well now.
Yeah, and we've seen that this can happen to a guy where he just gets stuck behind the lap car and just loses position after position. And we might see it possibly with Harrison Burton, no. But now Chastain might be in this position because now look at he's coming up to the bumper and all of those great moves and positions that Chastain's worked so hard to get to. Oh no.
Oh, they all lift.
They are going to make it.
They make it. Chastain a little bit of a slider. Oh, they got a little loose right there. This is going to knock him out of the stage point contention if he can not hold off Labonte. As right now he is in 10th, and actually I noticed Harvick was catching Nadu, but I don't know if he got loose on entry to 2 or what. But he lost a lot of ground. Now he's caught behind Pastrana. As Chastain's going to hold off Labonte as we come to 2 to go in the stage, and he's going to get a good run on Craven.
Yeah, he got that outside line that we keep talking about. He gets such a great run coming off that corner.
As Gregson, I believe, is looking to the outside of Darren Pittman. And look back up front, I saw Hamlin duck out of line. Try and get the move done on Jenkins. I would argue the big thing for these new guys, Hamlin, Weinmiller, Busch, Pittman, and actually even Chastain, who's sitting in the top 10 as we take the white flag. Points, points, points. You know, obviously a win and you're in scenario if you can get inside the top 20, but arguably in one race, as we saw earlier from, I believe it was Cole Custer, it's tough to get, you know, top 10 or top 20, excuse me, in one race.
Absolutely. Is Denny Hamlin's going to make that move to the inside. It's looking like it's going to get be a done deal pretty much.
Oh,
this is going to be the last gas for Jenkins, but
I'll say you never know.
He's going to clear this.
It looks like he's going to get it done as Chase Briscoe will win the stage. As here's the battle for the final stage points. Chastain the run off the corner.
Caution.
And he got it, actually. He will finish 9th.
Any comments there, bud?
Yep. As I say, it really wasn't a battle to see who would get the last stage point, but more so who would finish 9th.
As I had saw Chastain, and I thought it was the other way around. But so Briscoe, stage winner. I believe that is his first stage win of the season. As I'm going to take credit for that one, putting him in the 100 club now. But arguably the crew chief, great call, taking 2 tires and/or just a gas and go. Obviously, we cannot tell, you know, what they do. But Jenkins 3rd, Kurt Busch 4th, which I thought Weinmiller was 4th, but apparently not. But Weinmiller 5th.
For the 2nd week in a row, a new member of the 100 club gets a stage win.
Yeah, and interesting note here as well. Nadu 12th, Harvick 13th. Actually, Labonte missed stage points as well.
Yep. So I said it though, you know, Harvick and Nadu are not going to get away from one another.
Oh, and I was right, by the way. And I thought I got the picture of it, but I guess I didn't. Weinmiller was ahead of Kurt Busch. So I don't know, you know, how or why he got in front of him for the moment there. But, yeah, Weinmiller was ahead of Busch. So we will watch they come down pit road, and I'm going to run and handle my business real quick while you call this.
All right. Well, we're going to come down pit road, and everybody's going to come get 4 tires, fuel, like I said, fresh Goodyear Eagles, and we'll, you know, try to get it done as quickly as possible. Certainly Chase Briscoe has the farthest to go with that, I believe it's the number 1 pit stall. Or no. Yes. No. That's right. Weinmiller took the pole. I am lost. But it's okay. So we'll see who gets out first. You know, certainly the exit's a little bit further down than this, but we should still be able to see as it's going to be Jenkins who's going to make it out of his stall first. And then it's Weinmiller who's actually going to beat them off of pit road. And Labonte is going to get a great exit off of pit road too. But it's Briscoe's pit crew who has just completely failed him here today.
So I know I had mentioned a little bit ago about the Cook Series server.
Mm-hmm.
Kane Cook just tweeted out, the server lagged 7 people out of the race, and race control refuses to do anything to make it right. The server is still glitching me, so I decided to park it to not wreck competitors. If nothing is done, gotta say iRacing really dropped the ball.
That is ridiculous.
And according to, again, my source on Twitter, He goes, meanwhile, at Justin Prince Sports reports that Malik Ray and Matt Busa may be experiencing overheating issues at the back of the pack.
Well.
But yeah, kind of listen to what you were saying. I believe Briscoe had a bad pit stop.
Bad is a word for it. The man is in 23rd.
Yeah, that's not good.
22nd. Still not much better. So, no, it is a whole moment here, and I believe because our cameraman is currently making his own pit stop, we can't see the lead car, but it is Shane Weinmiller because he did clear Leroy Jenkins off of pit road. So we'll see how this restart is going to affect things. Anybody on that outside line is going to be. I'm not going to say SOL, but it certainly through 1 and 2, it hasn't been the dominant line that you want it to be starting up there essentially. So I believe we're going to come and take 1 to go this time. And hopefully our cameraman will be back in time for that.
He's on his way. He's coming through the door. I gotta close the booth door behind, make sure we get no intruders. But yes, it would be Weinmiller, Jenkins, Hamlin, Pittman, Gregson, your top 5.
So not too much of a change up there, other than the obvious guy who led the stage at the end not being here anymore.
So we double
and there's
up.
the old 1 to go sign. Yep.
And lucky dog was Travis Pastrana. And so far, I have not heard or seen any issues as far as the lappers kind of getting where they need to be.
Yeah, I would say the only one I'd be concerned about probably is Kyle Busch, because he's the one that's most likely going to be out of position in comparison to the lead lap guys. With, the fact that he's faster than a good number of them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hate to do this to you, but I'm going to run down and just make sure everything's okay downstairs, obviously with what's going on.
Yep.
I will leave the camera, hopefully with who. Oh, I messed that one up. Hopefully with somebody that's going to run well while I run down real quick. But interesting to note, you talked about it earlier before I head down real quick. If you look at row 4, they are once again side by side coming to the green.
Yep, they will not escape one another. And what's funny is it seems like Bobby Labonte is being stuck right in the middle with them as well.
Yes, we're coming back to the green. I'll let you have fun calling this one real quick, and I'll be back as soon as I can.
Absolutely. So we come to the Geico restart zone. It's going to be Shane Weinmiller taking the lead off through into 1, but it's Leroy Jenkins fighting back on the outside. He's still up there. Is this going to open the door for Denny Hamlin to stick his nose underneath and get to second place? By the time we come to 3 and 4, Gregson's going to look for fourth, on the inside of the 5 car. I constantly can't remember who it is, and I apologize. But you can kind of see that outside line, at least through 3 and 4. If they held well enough, they're going to do somewhat well once they get to 3 and 4 and be able to kind of fight back coming down here into 1 and 2, essentially. So Denny Hamlin makes it through to 3rd. Noah Gregson's now up to 4th. And it continues to be Shane Weinmiller, followed by Leroy Jenkins. So Jenkins, coming off of a race win a week ago at Homestead, he's still looking good, and now he's closing a little bit on our leader, Shane Weinmiller. Trying to get some views of elsewhere on the racetrack. You see Kurt Busch there closing a little bit. Looks like Kevin Harvick has gotten around Jerry Nadeau, and I believe Jack Moff is up there in the middle of those two, actually. So they were a little bit further back, and we maybe see that as they come off of 3 and 4. But you can just kind of see this gap with the leader. It's not really large, but it's not really small either. Certainly Leroy Jenkins is there. He's got Shane Weinmiller's mirror full of his car, and you're kind of seeing the same thing now with Noah Gragson behind Denny Hamlin as he continues to follow. And you can just see like the top 10 kind of nice and easy, a little bit of single file for right now. Guys are going to probably try and make their moves at some point as Bobby Labonte looks to the inside of Jerry Nadeau and see if he's able to get that pass finished by the next time we come around. And it actually looks like they were still going at it, going down into one. So we'll keep an eye on that battle in the background. But just a kind of nice, easy ride for Denny Hamlin here in third place as we kind of keep the camera trained on him. Shane Weinmiller continues to lead. As, yes, Bobby Labonte has in fact cleared Jerry Nadeau. So now he'll set his sights on Jack Moff in the number 69 car. As I think it looks to me like Noah Gragson continues to kind of close that door ever so slightly. He gets a little bit closer and a little bit closer with each lap, and we'll see if maybe he gets a chance at Denny Hamlin going into one maybe one of these times, or even going into three, as now Jerry Nadeau is once again cleared back by Bobby Labonte. So that's not what either of them really want to be doing here. When you start battling like that, you get side by side, you get into this little tussle fight that they're doing, and it's for 9th and 10th, and quite frankly, that's not good enough to be battling over that hard at this point, and certainly not to be losing ground to the cars in front of you. As actually now it looks like Denny Hamlin's closing on Leroy Jenkins as Kurt Busch goes to the outside of the 5 car, Aaron Pittman. And now it's going to be Harvick on the inside with Jack Moff coming, looking to his outside. But here we come with another run from Gragson, but it's countered because Denny Hamlin gets an amazing run off of 2 down into 3. It's not looking like it's going to amount to what he probably wants, but he's going to maybe get to the outside here, as we see in the background. Bobby Labonte still squabbling, if you would, with Jerry Nadeau in the back there. And it's just, like I said, it's not what you want to do, as now Denny Hamlin is going to go backwards. He's passed by Noah Gragson. Here comes Kurt Busch looking to his inside, and certainly going to make the pass here as they go into 3 and 4. Darren Pittman looks to his inside as well, and here comes Kevin Harvick. So just so many spots lost here for Denny Hamlin.
I am back for right now. I apologize. It was very unprofessional. Like I said, I got a text saying to potentially check on downstairs, so obviously kind of had to. But you see, Shane has maintained the front. Briscoe's only been able to get up to 24th. I actually forget where you said he was.
That is actually, he lost 2 spots.
Oh, so that's not good. Harrison seems to be going backwards from what I can see on timing and scoring. And out of our top 2, Nadeau still in 10th. Harvick was up to 7th, trying to hold off Jack Moff.
And now possibly Bobby Labonte.
I would say they're all gunning for him. It seems he's got a big old target on his back.
Yeah, and it just seems like he continues to run the low line, but he doesn't seem like he is really quick with it. It seems like he gets all the way down to that yellow line and he just loses time as Kurt Busch gets around Noah Gragson now to take over 3rd place.
I think it's one of those things with Harvick. I think you're seeing it here too, as he's starting to catch back up to Darren Pittman. I think if he can take kind of an arc into the corner, he's better off. I think it's when he's kind of pressured or up on somebody where he gets, you see right there, he kind of stayed off the yellow line. That car seems to launch, whereas if he can't, take that arc and kind of is forced down, well, forced quote unquote down, it just, it kind of just kills his momentum and his speed. But like I said, he's kind of gotten away from Jack Moff and is able to kind of take that arc and run his own line, and it seems to kind of help that car.
Absolutely. Well, certainly we're seeing Denny Hamlin still having the battle, and he's trying to get back to the front. He lost positions all the way back to, I believe he was behind Harvick for a moment, and then he kind of recovered. But Shane Weinmiller just kind of been all by himself since he started to pull away from Leroy Jenkins, and that was kind of it there. And then that was about the time that Hamlin caught Jenkins and made a move, and it just backfired for Denny Hamlin.
As
the move for Darren Pittman appears to have backfired, whatever that move was, because he loses 3 spots right there.
Yeah. Real quick, I have to run again to finish what I was doing. I just want to come back and make sure you weren't left hanging, and yeah.
But you are all good.
Trying my best, brother.
So we'll follow along with, looks like Darren Pittman here. He's going to try and get back forward through the field. And you can see Bobby Labonte getting a great run on Jack Moff, and there's still continuing to run that high line. It's just not working for him is Denny Hamlin. It's working. I say it's not working for him. It's working through 3 and 4. It works pretty much every time through 3 and 4 for Denny Hamlin. As Darren Pittman really struggled through 1 and 2 there on that high side. All right, phone. He loses another spot to Gary Nadeau, and now it's Bobby Labonte looking to the outside of Jack Moff. Now, the problem for Bobby is that he's now in the same position as Darren Pittman is, and that going into 1 and 2, that high line is just so much worse off than it is for 3 and 4. Now, if you can make it work through 1 and 2, you are in business, because that high line in 3 and 4 is just incredible. But that's been the problem so far. Nobody has really been able to make it work through 1 and 2, but it looks like maybe Bobby Labonte made it work well enough that he's able to stick with Jack Moff and get around him on the high side through 3 and 4. As Darren Pittman now falls out of the stage points, he's back to 11th as Austin Dillon sneaks in. He's looking to get his first stage points in his career, as here comes Ross Chastain. We saw him, right at the end of that last stage. He was in the stage points, out of the stage points. I don't remember if he actually got stage points, but he was right there, right at the end, and certainly it's another one of those. He's got a car, it's doing well, and he's coming somewhat through the field. As I'm also trying to keep an eye on anything of note. It looks like Ty Majeski has gone down 2 laps, so he must be on pit road. But as for anybody else that I'm trying to keep note of on timing and scoring, I'm not seeing Chase Briscoe yet. He's up to 20th. Okay, so he is, because we did want to keep an eye on that. He's coming forward, and you can see Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick up ahead. They were on that outside line through 3 and 4, and they're battling with Noah Gragson, and it worked out for them. So they get around Noah Gragson, and we'll see if Bobby Labonte can capitalize on a slower Noah Gragson from that. But it is continuing to follow along with Darren Pittman as he tries to run his way back into the top 10. He's got to get around Austin Dillon, that number 29 Camaro, and certainly that's a tall challenge to do, as Jerry Nadeau is now going to look to the outside of Jack Moff. We've seen this move work with Bobby Labonte, but I don't know that Nadeau has as well of a run as I think Labonte had. Well, he's going to get it through 1 and 2, and we'll see if he can hold it. Certainly an incredible run through there, as he's got just the best run I think I've seen all race long off of 1 and 2. He's now able to go to the outside through 3 and 4, and we'll see if he gets that run off that has been incredible. And no. So Nadeau, fantastic through 1 and 2, probably the best I've seen all race, but it is to no avail, as he is unable to make the move happen through 3 and 4. Ooh. But you did see in that sequence that Darren Pittman is able to get around Austin Dillon again. So now Darren Pittman is back into the stage points. So running 10th out of 10 for stage points. And that's certainly the goal. You want your stage points. You want to get those. He got his first of the year. All right, phone. Thank you. Thank you. That is good news for me. But he got his first of the year in stage 1. Now he's looking to continue to get stage points, but it's going to be Austin Dillon on the inside, and will Ross Chastain follow through as well?
All right, I'm back. Hopefully it's for good. Can I apologize? I know it's unprofessional as all get out, but yeah, trying to multitask and do all that. Ty Majeski was on pit road. 2 laps down, so right now he is the lucky dog, as long as, again, Pastrana can hang on, but as you can see, it is not going to happen.
Ain't going to happen. I never expect that to happen.
But up front, Leroy kind of closing in on Shane Weinmiller, Kurt Busch kind of holding his own. And then old Kevin Harvick kind of really out in no man's land, as Hamlin's about a second back, and Harvick's about a second back from Kurt Busch. See Gragson and Labonte, probably your closest battle in the top 7 or so. Moff 8th, Nadu 9th, as he might be under pressure here from Dillon here in a little bit. As Craven and Burton seem to have a battle, and Bubba Wallace, like the furthest up he's been all day. I know we haven't talked about him at all.
Yeah, and we were trying to focus on Chase Briscoe, and he has at least started trending in the right direction. He fell back to 24th at one point, but he's up to 20th now, so at least, positive numbers.
Well, it's now that I'm actually here, I can give you the pit stop numbers. But yeah, 29.7 for Briscoe, and we're gonna do. Oh boy!
And we know that this doesn't always work, but they give each other enough room. And Tyler Reddick, Chase Briscoe, and Daniel Suarez all survive what could have been mass carnage through 1 and 2. And that's actually, I think, big for Briscoe. Was that 2 spots, or was that just 1?
That was 1. He was 20th. He got the 1 on Suarez.
Yeah, okay, that's right. And then Reddick came up behind him and sent it 3 wide.
But our boy, more so I guess your boy, Matthew Hibbs, 18th. I want to note here on Bubba, I mean, obviously, I had mentioned it, I think we were going through the grid. A lot of people, I'm sure, questioning, obviously, in real life where he, quote-unquote, belongs. Maybe not, in the Cup Series, maybe in Xfinity or, truck talent. And for season 1 right now, like I said, he's landed arguably obviously there's a lot of top tier equipment being all the hundreds, but arguably, again, the top tier equipment, putting him, arguably one of the better guys in the series, and right now sitting 16th right behind Craven and Harrison Burton. So I have to keep an eye on how he trends during the season.
And this battle right here that we're seeing between Moff, Dillon, and Dustin there in the 5, that's stage battle.
Yes, this would be, yeah.
Moff is 10th right now, and you can see Dustin really keeping it low, tight, and still just getting a great run. I think you were away for it, but I saw Jerry Nadu do almost the same thing through 1 and 2, and he got the best run I've seen out of anybody through 1 and 2.
Yes, I would have been away from that.
But
I did hear you mention that, though, yes.
I also believe that they have caught and already lapped Travis Pastrana. Because I'm pretty sure I just saw Bobby Labonte going to his inside.
I must have missed that one. But yeah, they did. Wow, okay. And I would say relatively with ease as Harvick. Fastest car on the track right now, 31.7s to the leader's 31.9s. And he has cut this gap. Yeah, he's cut this gap down to half a second to Jenkins, which, if you remember, I said a couple laps ago, he was about a second behind Busch, who was about half a second behind Jenkins. So a second and a half, and he's cut it down to, at the line, 4.5 tenths.
Yeah, he is a man on a mission at the end of these stages. He certainly is a master of keeping those tires fresh for as long as he possibly can. So
Briscoe's falling back to 20th, so we will have, obviously, as we probably imagined, a new stage winner to begin with, but definitely going to happen now, as we seem to be clean and green. And actually, Jeffrey Earnhardt might fall a lap down here as well, which will then hold Pastrana 1 down.
I think as we get more lap cars, then we start to maybe run into that issue that we had sometimes seen.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, sorry to answer something about Thursday night, as you just saw as well.
Yep.
We'll see. I mean, I'll be honest, I was surprised we made it through the first couple since we had already had lappers. Because when we ran Daytona, even with I think it was like one lapper, we ran into the issue. But right now, so far so good. We'll have about 6 guys be a lap down once they get to Earnhardt. Deegan should not be a factor. She's at the line. And Weinmiller's just entering turn 3. But you mentioned Harvick not done yet getting to the front. He is now caught Jenkins. We'll have to see what he can do with him as the guy that we were saying he couldn't get away from right now sitting in 10th. That is 1 point. Harvick right now getting 8, trying to get 9.
He certainly has figured out how to get away from him, finally.
Even Labonte as well. You had said he might kind of be the meat in the sandwich in that one. He's even going to 7th. So
yeah.
So Harvick's actually moved up a little bit on entry there, and he got a great run on the exit of the corner. See if he can do anything with it down the front stretch heading towards turn number 1. So right now, nothing doing.
Yeah, it's just not looking like he got as great of a run off as I think we thought he did. But he's going to look to run that second line, and you can see Shane might be catching Jeffrey in the wrong spot. I think he had to check up just ever so slightly there.
What's your favorite camera? That's actually on Shane, so the favorite camera will now be where I wanted it to go. And Harvick, Jenkins checks up. Harvick stays in the gas and will make the pass.
What a ballsy move by Kevin Harvick, who's now going to have a decision to make with Jeffrey Earnhardt because he is now going to get stuck behind a slower race car that is now going to hurt not only Harvick, but Jenkins.
So where's Kurt Busch in all this? Not where he needed to be.
Too far off. Yeah, but he ain't too far off either.
Oh, but that line choice, though, by Jenkins, he realized it real quick, cut back to the bottom, but, man, that closed him right up to the back bumper of Jenkins. And even Hamlin, for that matter, right there.
Yep, and here comes Kurt Busch looking to the inside. Now, obviously, I think Jeffrey is still going to stick to that inside line, so we'll have to see if this is going to be a hindrance or not. Kurt really making that inside line work. But now here comes Denny Hamlin thinking about it. I think he backed out of it there just a little bit. Maybe going 3 wide right now probably isn't the right move. He thought.
When Harvick got to second, he was a second behind at the line. Actually, it grew a little bit that time. It's back to 9/10. But he was coming. He was charging again, trying to get back to Weinmiller, but Shane kind of stepped it up a little bit and bettered his lap and kind of put the gap up a little bit more. But Harvick drove away from these boys as they continue to battle as we're coming to 2 to go in the stage.
Absolutely. So an interesting move here as we have 2 of the temp drivers, as we'll call them. Denny Hamlin battling with Kurt Busch. And you can see back there, now it's going to be Noah Gragson and Bobby Labonte's turn to kind of play chicken, if you would, with old Jeffrey Earnhardt. And I think Noah Gragson might be making the wrong move because I think much like the Kurt Busch move, no, it actually ends up being the right move because he is able to get to Jeffrey's outside.
As we come to the white flag, this gap down, well, it jumps up quick. It was down to 6/10, but now it's back up to 8. So Weinmiller will take the white flag. I would argue your top 2 are kind of settled.
I'd argue your top 3 are kind of settled. I think Denny's a little bit faster than Kurt there on this longer run.
It's actually him and Harvick in the exact same lap time, a 31.842. Your battle is on for 8th as they worked around the lapper. Is Nadu right now 10th. Pretty much going to seal his fate unless he gets held up really badly here.
But I don't think there's enough time because I believe they're coming to the green and white checkers right now. So I'm assuming we're doing it slightly different this time.
Spin, caution.
As far as...
You doing there, bud?
I wasn't sure if you threw that caution at the 10th or the 1st. I was confused there for a second.
Yeah, 10.
Okay. Yeah, so slightly different because usually we throw it on the 1.
So, Weinmiller, 4th in stage 1, wins this one. Harvick, no stage points to 2nd. Hamlin right now, actually I thought he was in, he was. So he was 2nd and now 3rd. So I believe Hamlin highest as far as the stage points are concerned. But
for consistency.
yeah, but this will be a big.
Oof. It's going to be a very interesting set of pit stops because we saw just one set of pit stops ago how much things can change. So.
Yeah, and I would argue Nadu's not in a good spot here regarding this lapper of Earnhardt, but we'll go up front. Briscoe, by the way, only got up to 19th.
Yeah, he really struggled once he got mired way back in the back there.
There's a couple lappers also mixed in, but here they come down pit road.
And Harvick can be the first one into his box out of these front guys. And that's due to the fact that his box is so far back.
So lucky dog will be Earnhardt. And I don't imagine the other lappers will stay out, but obviously we never know now because of the Rowdy Burns incident. But
yeah.
Miss Briscoe just now got into his box, by the way.
Oof.
Here, Harvick's already off and away. 16.9, so he will not beat Weinmiller. As actually Hamlin almost beat him.
And there goes Harvick. There goes. Actually, okay.
Gragson, a big loser. I believe Briscoe's crew redeemed themselves.
Yeah, he's certainly, I think, beating out a lot of the cars that I thought he was behind.
At least a little bit. He's up to 14th, a 15.4. But right now, time and scoring, Weinmiller P1 with a 14.6, Hamlin a 14.4, Kurt Busch a 14.1, Harvick 16.9, Pittman a 14.6 to round out your top five. Then it's Labonte, Jenkins, I believe, a big loser as well.
Mm-hmm.
Burton, Nadu, Chastain, and Gragson falls to 11th.
So certainly, I think Bobby's pit crew redeemed himself a little bit. He lost a lot of ground on that first stop. Getting them back up towards the front, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, Briscoe 14th, Bubba Wallace fell to 19th. I believe Tomac was decently towards the front. He'll be actually 19th now, so Bubba 18th. I believe that's about it, I think. I don't know if Suarez was decent or not. But he's back here in 27th now.
Well, what I'm going to find somewhat interesting, it seemed like there were a couple of the lap cars that stayed out and took a wave around.
Pastrana's in, Majeski's in, Kyle's in, and Danica's in. So all the lappers did pit.
Never mind.
Earnhardt was the lucky dog, and he obviously just came in as well. So
I don't know what I saw then.
we forgive you.
I saw cars in front of Shane, and it looked like they started to go faster. But either way, you get a front row of Toyotas for this next restart. You can see Kurt Busch kind of getting a beneficiary there. Got that car up to third. Well, I believe he actually was in third for the stage. Or no, he was in fourth for the stage.
Kurt Busch was, yes, fourth. Denny got him there late.
Yep. Harvick's crew kind of screwing him a little bit there. Not as bad as Briscoe's crew, but ever so slightly.
Yeah, I mean,
but
nobody's perfect, clearly.
Yeah, we all know that the one who gets yelled at the most is Bobby's pit crew.
Yeah. Even he's 16.1, so better than Harvick.
Yeah, but they already screwed him on 2 different pit stops. And then there was the Homestead incident where he's leading by I don't know how much, and he comes out 3 seconds behind. And it was just like, what in the hell just happened? But his pit crew's been yelled at a lot this year. They're about one more bad pit stop from being fired and completely replaced.
So interesting to note here, I'll pop this up again real quick. Stage is obviously over. Pit window 50 to 55 laps. I would
We got 100.
argue, yeah. So you're definitely going to see one pit stop. If not, depending on when they
Possibly
pit,
2.
potentially 2, which you could see another Rowdy Burns incident, depending on obviously when you come down to make that first stop.
Right, because it's going to be about 106 laps.
It'll be 106 when we go back green here.
Yeah, so that's really kind of pushing it there.
And actually, just 2 lead changes so far between I believe, it'd be Wine, Miller, and Briscoe. You see Briscoe back there, as mentioned, in 14th. We are back underway to start stage 3 with 106 laps to go from Kentucky.
We'll see how everything shapes up with all of the lines. Certainly, that outside line has kind of been in a more compromising position, essentially, if you would, with being the outside line. They've had more struggles maintaining position. But it looks like everybody's going to kind of maintain position there. So an excellently well done job.
In the front little bit, I saw Briscoe was kind of in the middle 3 wide. So this is hairy to see on a fresh restart with the field bunched up. But they got it sorted out and getting to turn 1. So he's already fallen to 15th as Denny Hamlin to the lead.
And Kurt Busch is going to follow right along with him and actually is now looking on his outside as they're going to go through 3 and 4. And it's going to be Kurt Busch looking for the lead now. But don't look too much further back because here comes Kevin Harvick. But Kurt Busch is going to lead his first laps of the day.
So I think Hamlin actually didn't even lead a lap, I don't think. Because I know he got Weinmiller, I believe, coming off of 2. And I believe Kurt led the lap, so...
Yes.
Hamlin trying to get all the points he can, but that ever-elusive lap-led bonus point, well, still goes to a newcomer, Kurt Busch. But I would say the guy that you're going to be most, I guess the proper word would be unhappy about being behind you so far, be that 4 car.
Yeah, certainly. If I'm Kurt Busch, I would have much rather had Denny be the car behind me because I know that 4 car is fast.
So he actually goes defensive. So we'll see here what happens here in the middle of the corner. Remember I mentioned it seemed like when he couldn't take his arc, he'd get right to that yellow line and kind of kill his exit speed. Looks like he somewhat took his arc and will be somewhat okay coming off the corner, but Hamlin's going to have a huge run getting down towards turn number 1.
Yeah, it looked like he got a little bit maybe squirrely coming off of turn 4 and that lost a little bit of momentum.
You see there Chastain battling, Burton and Gregson battling as Nadu, I think the furthest up he's been all night in 8th. As Weinmiller fell all the way to 7th.
Yeah, it certainly, it looked like one of those truck moments that we kept seeing where if you got on a certain line, you just kind of got stuck out to dry, and you could see he is able to use that outside line to his advantage. He gets back around Bobby Labonte.
It's Hamlin all over Kevin Harvick, because right now they are both a 10th off of your leaders. We check in on Briscoe as he's trying to get around newcomer Bubba Wallace. With, again, our boy Hibbs seems to be in the action no matter where he's at on the racetrack.
Yeah, that's certainly true. But what's going to be interesting to note, we saw Kevin Harvick just kind of take it easy, it seemed like, for a lot of the stage last time. Who's going to take care of their tires the best? We saw it worked for Kevin Harvick. Everybody else was up there battling. They're all running like madmen up in the top 3, burning their tires off. And as we got to the end of the stage, all of a sudden, here comes Kevin Harvick. So certainly, if somebody can figure out how to save their tires like that, we could see a repeat of that, but maybe not with Kevin Harvick this time. As Briscoe continues to fall back. I'm just miffed at why he is as far back as he is.
I would say, debatably dirty air. I mean, he was out front that first stage, kind of drove away till the very end. I think when Leroy got, started to close in, we see it obviously with the real NORA stuff and even real life sometimes. Dirty air plays a huge role in determining the outcomes of the races. But right now, Harvick and everybody else still about a 10th off of Kurt, especially that time by Kurt's even already slowed down to a 30.6. And then Harvick and them down at 7s. But again, I don't see. I said it about the Homestead race. Seemed like Harvick had a long run car. He wasn't really there in the beginning of the stages, but come that, late in the race, late in the stages, he was there. And we do know they'll have to take, from what we assume, would be 2 green flag stops to finish this race out.
At least one.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably have to save fuel.
Well, that's the thing, though. I think it all depends on when you pit first, because as far as we know, like I said, we were getting about 51 laps per tank, but obviously the AI is different, so they might be able to stretch it to say 55, 56 maybe. But even then, if you pit at 55, you're still right on that edge of being able to make it.
Mm-hmm. So we'll have to keep an eye on it and see what happens. Certainly, it's going to be very intriguing motion with this entire thing, and everything that we're talking about, everything that we're like, this is what could happen, and blah blah blah. All of it could have a giant wrench thrown in it by one little yellow flag.
Well, even then, I think until we hit lap 150, even if there is a caution, you're still not out of the woods, for say. You're still going to have to make that pit stop.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find which cluster I want to watch. And right now, I guess I'll watch this one. Briscoe is now a part of it with Bubba Wallace. But, one thing's for sure, I will say this, and I'll be honest about it. I am not a Bubba Wallace fan. Not because of his talent or anything else that people will assume, I'm sure. But I will say that is a sharp DoorDash scheme, and I never thought I would admit that.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Because I'm a big fan of basic, and to me that's basic, but it just looks decent for being basic, I guess is what I'm trying to say. As Hibbs is going to get a run on Briscoe.
And Bobby Labonte and Shane Y. Miller are both able to take advantage of moving Leroy Jenkins out of the bottom line, and they both go around to his inside. It looks like he's not done yet.
So interesting to note. Still kind of watching that iRacing issue with the servers. Apparently, iRacing is saying it's a driver's issue, and the drivers are saying it's not. And I guess they're very unhappy Coke Series drivers tonight. But so your 3 winners coming in, obviously Harvick won Daytona, and we were all on the, that's bad for the competition. He's dominated mile and a half, et cetera, et cetera. He's ran up front, but I wouldn't say he's dominated by any means. Definitely the highest up winner to date so far as he is 2nd. Leroy Jenkins 8th. And Justin Barcia right now, the worst person that has already won, as he is back in 23rd. Actually batting with teammate Jason Anderson. But watching the battle up front for the lead, Harvick has cut the lead down to about half a second. It was as high as a second a little bit ago, but he's kind of gapped Hamlin a little bit, and he's trying to run down Kurt Busch as we are now within the 100 lap to go range.
And you can see back there, it's Bobby Labonte's kind of run down to 5. It's almost as if maybe Bobby is taking a page out of exactly what I was questioning. With could anybody match what Kevin Harvick did in the last stage? Save your tires, and you have to now make that question for Harvick. Is the reason he's not running down Kurt Busch maybe as fast as you might see is Bobby Labonte goes to the outside of Dustin there and gets that pass done for 4th. But maybe Harvick's not running down Kurt as much as you might think he would, because maybe he's saving tires.
Yeah, I mean, lap time wise, Harvick, the whole beginning of the run was about a 10th off, and I think I just messed up my timing and scoring. No, I think it's good. But right now, they've kind of evened out. Busch now to the 31.6s, and Harvick not really falling off to that point. He's kind of held steady in the 6s range for the past couple laps. We'll see right here. As Busch comes across to 684, Harvick actually a couple, I believe, to be hundredths faster with a 72. And actually Hamlin's same exact lap time, but Labonte a 31.4. So Labonte kind of on the move right now as we are about closing on about halfway in this little stint here.
Yeah, he's definitely right now the caller to watch speed-wise. He's just kind of gotten around people and just started to close on whoever is next in line. So he is kind of doing basically exactly what Harvick was doing at the end of that stage.
But a big thing, though, like I had said, all depends on when you pit. I know, obviously, our fuel mileage is a little different than what these guys get. I know, and like I said, we were getting, it looked like 51, I think, 0.4 laps or so. So that's obviously why the window 50 to 55, but you never know. Saving tires also somewhat equates to saving fuel, as Labonte's going to clear Hamlin here from what we've seen previously. Hamlin actually going to put up a decent fight, but Labonte will clear him at the line. So move Labonte up to third, and still fastest car on the track.
This has just been an incredible thing to watch, the way he was able to work that car through 3 and 4, get right to the guy in front of him's right rear quarter panel just as they come to about exit, and just shoot off, going off the corner, and just get an incredible run down the front straightaway.
As Weinmiller actually has gotten back to 5th. Interesting to note, too, that I have noticed, especially more so 3 and 4, if you look at that bottom groove, the truck race, it was real narrow. You didn't see guys using that quote-unquote second line or 1.5, whatever you actually want to call that, like kind of half the car width up. Look at how wide that groove is, especially on entry. I guess technically you didn't say throughout the corner, compared to that truck race, if you remember back to that right here as we watch Pittman and Weinmiller.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot wider through 3 and 4, almost a full car width, if you would there. And to continue on with what we've been saying about Labonte, look at what he has done getting around Hamlin.
Yeah, he's still 0.2 faster. Busch in 8:30, Harvick in 8:44, Labonte is 6:31.
I mean, this has just been an incredible last couple of laps, and you almost have to question if this is Labonte saying, listen, I don't really trust my pit crew right now. I'm going to get everything I can on the racetrack.
And actually, I would argue, I think they're about, I would say maybe top 5 in speed, Kyle Busch, which doesn't no good 3 laps down in 32nd. But, again, I'll call that one like a Rowdy Burns moment. Not sure why he decided to hook that sharp left. But he did. And, finds himself 3 laps down trying to salvage anything at this point. Right now he's battling Cooper Webb and Danica Patrick, which I believe would really just be Cooper Webb at that point. But, not sure. But going to scratch our heads about that one.
Yeah, and we're kind of seeing here, maybe Bobby's starting to even out a little bit as he's just not able to get around Harvick.
Yeah, it seems like his line kind of middle, just like shallow entry 1 and 2, middle on exit. He's going to get a run here and get to the right rear of Harvick, which will clear him on the front stretch, you would assume, from what we've seen. But it seemed like he was already favoring that like 1.5 second grooves. He's actually going to go to arguably the 3rd or 4th line in 3 and 4. But again, not pinching the car down, not sacrificing your speed. He's going to clear him with ease, as we've said all night. And Bobby Labonte now up to 2nd.
So he was able to manage to figure out what he needed to do to get around Kevin Harvick, and manages to, again, just do that and put the car where it needs to be. And I think I said it about Kimi. I said it about Bobby. Certainly, it was one of those moments. He got to that 100 range, and he started to look really good on these 1.5 miles. And you almost got to think, like, ooh, this is a guy that we definitely got to watch out for now.
He's already starting to catch Kurt Busch's right away. He cleared Harvick and got right back down to the 6s. Kurt Busch in the 9s. So is Harvick, actually. Hamlin in the 32. Everybody else, high 1 or 31 9s, if not low 32s. But I gotta wonder, are you pushing maybe a little hard? As they just passed halfway on the stint, working lap 28, coming to start lap 29. So still arguably about a half a run left.
Yeah, and it does, like I said, beg the question, is Harvick saving? Is Bobby being on the result of saving early, and the lead guys all kind of running the tires off early in the run?
We're going to go on board, because I don't know if you saw it, but you definitely see it there. Old Pastrana showing his ugly face again. But Bobby's going to try and use him as a pick.
He's going to try for his signature move at this point, and it's going to work. Bobby Labonte is going to lead them to the line for his first lap's led, but he's actually going to be able to get under Pastrana, and that's huge, because now his goal is going to be to gap Kurt Busch. And if he can continue to run the lap times like he was, I don't think it's going to take much.
No, but like I said, you almost got to wonder, will that even out and or go back into Kurt Busch's favor as this run, continues on? We'll
Absolutely.
obviously keep an eye on it, but
yeah, you have to ask the question, like I was saying, is that the product of Bobby saving early and the leaders eating their stuff up? Or is that just a product of Bobby deciding, okay, well, I don't feel like waiting any longer?
Which I don't think he really saved, because I think he was not really deep, but I think he was about the second half of the top 10 to start, and I think he was just on a charge from the get-go.
I think he restarted in 6th, and I think he actually ended up falling back to 10th at one point and just kind of riding there for a few laps. So I'm not sure. I honestly, I don't know. But certainly he's been in this position before where he's leading coming to pit stops, and it hasn't worked out well. So he's probably thinking, oh, God, are we having another homestead?
Well, he's definitely, I would argue, the favorite right now is actually Jerry Nadeau. Not the night he wants, seeing Bobby lead and Harvick third, your main, title competitors. Because, yeah, that is your top 3, and then Leroy sitting in 4th, and he is also in front of Nadeau in 7th. And then obviously Harrison Burton, the next car, but even he's in front of Nadeau in 8th.
And what Nadeau's now most concerned about is the fact that if Bobby now gets a win, Nadeau's the only one out of the top 4 in points that doesn't have a win.
Yeah, and that would technically put him 5th in points, because you got to remember Barsha always also with a win, but he's also behind him in points. So you got to obviously remember that too.
Now, something to note that will be interesting to follow along in this season: when will we get our first repeat winner? Because once we get a repeat winner, that then guarantees that we will only set the field by wins. Because if we get no repeat winners until the playoffs, there will be 13 different winners, because there are 13 different races before the Xfinity playoffs.
Oh, I see what you're saying now. Okay, I was confused at first, but yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same thing in the Cup Series. If there are no repeat winners, you run in the same series, because we have 20 races in our Cup schedule before the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, technically it would go off points too, though, because if everybody's got a win, but you're sitting 19th in points, and then 18 in front of you have wins, well, you're SOL. You're still not making the chase.
As I believe Bobby just caught Jeffrey Earnhardt.
Yes, he did.
So this could be a crucial moment. He's going to go to the outside, and he's got to clear him.
Identical lap times.
Yeah, he's got to clear him immediately, and he does. Now the question is, how easy is it for Kurt Busch to get around Jeffrey Earnhardt?
Which will go to your favorite camera again, the NORA drone.
World's fastest drone.
I actually don't see another lapper up ahead.
No, I think normally it would be Haley Deegan. I hate to say the word normally.
And it still is, actually, as Busch is going to get held up by Earnhardt.
Yes, he is, and this is going to open the door for Harvick to maybe get to second.
Looks like he's a little loose right now. He oh, yeah, he is. He had to lift a bunch in that corner.
And so maybe this also now begs another question, because I hadn't noticed it really until now. But I'm pretty sure getting up until maybe just before the end of stage 2, I don't think it was this dark yet.
It was not. And actually talking about that, well, track temperatures actually stay the same, but it's gotten colder air temp-wise, down to 63 and way less wind. As now Hamlin's going to get caught up behind Earnhardt for a little bit, but good news for him, Weinmiller a good second back. But Pittman only, actually, Sean Weinmiller's teammate, half second back, so we'll keep an eye on that one. But we are getting ever so close to that first pit stop, coming to work lap 39. So it's going to be tight. 19 laps until lap 150, to where they could potentially make it the whole way.
But it starts to also beg the question, because we don't, like we always say, we don't know how the AI fully works. And is it possible that, Harvick, Busch, and some of these guys that dominated the early race, Weinmiller, Briscoe, their cars set up for daylight, the early portion of the race. But maybe Bobby's is meant to come alive when there is no sun in the sky.
He's still running 8s. I think the last time by he was in 6, I want to say, and they were 7s. Right now, though, he's in 8, and everybody else about 9s. Nobody else, as far as I can see down there. Actually, Harrison Burton in 9. But
yeah, but even still, 9s. I mean, you're a 10th off. That's losing a 10th every lap. That's not the direction you want to be going as the second place car.
I mean, you mentioned it though last week. And arguably with potentially 2 pit stops left, pit crews are going to be in everything. And like you said, Bobby last week, I think it was up by 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And came out, I believe, in 2nd or 3rd. So I would say no gap is safe.
No, I would say, and I think if I remember correctly, I think there was a lap car that actually put Bobby on pace with Leroy Jenkins right before his pit stop. That I think cut most of the deficit away. So maybe this lead is a little bit more safe, but again, we don't know because there obviously also could be another lap car that decides to show up.
Well, and I'm looking at times for so obviously the stage 2 end pit stops. So the quickest that I see right now is a 14.1, which was actually by Kurt Busch's crew. The slowest I'm seeing, which is a 22.5 by Doug Mytag, which again, obviously pit crew rating obviously factors in hugely when it comes to that stuff. It's Harvick trying the outside on Kurt Busch. Cannot get to his right rear, but back to what I was saying, that's almost a 10-second pit stop differential. Actually, 8 seconds, so yeah, close enough, but that's a huge difference when it comes to, especially under green flag. Caution, yeah, it's a big deal, but green flag, you figure you're going from race speed, which actually here we can use this to figure it out, about 180 or so by Harvick, they're getting into 1, to down to what, well actually here we can look at this as well, 45 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time when they're going 180, you're going 45, and then lose another, say, 5-6 seconds on pit road due to your pit crew.
Now, what's killing these two even more is the fact that they are running side by side.
Yes, because they have now fallen back to 3 seconds even, as Labonte a 31.9, Harvick a 32.1.
But it's now at that point of the stage where, the stint, where this is where we saw Harvick, kind of start coming alive. Now, this is, I think, a lot larger of a gap than we saw at the end of stage 2.
It's also a lot later in the stage, too. This is 45 laps into the stint, so about 5 laps, give or take, till that window was open, we assume, based on our numbers. But, we'll see what happens. We'll see, one, if he can drive away from Kurt Busch, and then we'll obviously watch that gap to Labonte.
You can't even, for pretty much this whole lap from this camera angle, you can't see Labonte the whole lap except for just a moment when you see Labonte's green car dive down into 1.
Yeah, and right now, he has cut the gap down already. It's down to 2.7, we'll call it, because it just went from 2.6 to 2.8, but actually then just like that, 2.5. So we'll keep an eye on it as Harrison Burton trying to make the pass on Leroy Jenkins, with Ross Chastain biting his chops to get up here and make this pass as well. But no, that's the big question right now. Pit stops, like I said, window open, we would assume 3 laps now as they're working lap 47. But it's going to get interesting. Harvick is starting to close that gap. Bobby Labonte 32 flat, Harvick 31.7.
Yeah, certainly this is going to be an incredible finish to this race.
31.9 to 31.8, working lap 48. So again, we'll keep touching on it. That window, from what we would assume from our numbers, is opening up. As
I think I saw Haley Deegan just in front of Bobby Labonte.
Up a good ways, I think.
There was okay.
I don't think they'll get there before pit stops. If it happens when we think it will, it won't happen. But obviously, again, we never know.
But it is
as Harvick We said it. We saw it last week. Coming down to it. You know, where did he come from, the closer? Another 0.3, down to 2 seconds even, actually, right now. And I would argue the longer they stay out and kind of push that window, the better off it is for Harvick.
Absolutely. So we'll have to keep along, follow, and just kind of see what these guys can get into
Check
on
the
their
lap
crazy.
times right here. Another 32.0 as opposed to a 31.8. So yeah, 1.8, but this is lap 50. So this would, again, we would assume the window is open right here. We will see what happens down the backstretch as they normally, peel to the bottom. So Labonte would be a no, I would assume. Harvick
Harvick, I
also a
think, is
no.
not. Yeah, I don't think you're going to see anybody take the early window on this one. I think you're just pushing too close. I think you have to run this tank dry and leave yourself with a little more room to play with at the end of the race.
Oh my. So Labonte picked up about a 100th down to a 30.02. Harvick a 31.7. Gap is now 1.5.
Yeah, and he is coming, but this is where the question mark is going to be on that final stage. If he does this again in the final stage and lets Bobby get out far in front, as I think Bobby's coming to, nope, he's just seems slower than I thought he would be off of that corner.
So let's see here again. 0.15 to a 9, so not as big of a gain, but still a 10th in the bag.
And they are closing on Haley Deegan.
So I kind of went to the chase. We can kind of tell a little bit easier than the TV cameras, but I would say Labonte a no, but we'll watch here as they come through the corner. This is lap 52 of this stint. So Labonte a no, Harvick no, Busch no.
I think it's going to be running the tank as far as they can.
As Nadeau continuing to drop right now as Gragson gave him a little bit of pressure. He's back to 11. This would be for 12th if Gragson can get by. 32.0 once again for Labonte, 31.8 for Harvick.
At minimum, I would say I think this might be the first lap you might see.
Yeah, this would be his lap 53. But I would argue, too, depending on how long they run this, that window, I would say maybe a one-stopper because you're at 55 to go right now. So, yes, this will be the money stop.
Yeah, if they can do this right and go as long as they can, push this thing as far as they can on fuel, that's the key. But Bobby now getting ever closer to Haley Deegan, and we've seen what lap cars can do.
Actually, 2 lappers. I don't know who that one. I believe it looks like time adjustment.
As it is going to, in fact, be Bobby Labonte's going to get right up to Deegan. He caught her at the worst possible moment, and he's stuck behind her now.
So let's see, 32.0, 31.8, 32.1 to a 31.8, and that gap is now 0.7 of a second. Harvick licking his chops. This is his moment right here.
And for the second week in a row, it's going to be Haley Deegan holding up Bobby Labonte.
Is Bobby going to pit here?
He might be.
Looked like he was thinking about it. May have tried to get around Deegan. No, he was trying to make the pass, but Harvick licking his chops. Here we go.
This is just for the second week in a row.
Is Harvick going to get there? Not yet. He's going to pick.
He's actually going to push Bobby through, essentially.
So that's actually Pastrana up ahead. So our window again, and we'll just say they're saving, but our window wrong once again as we're working lap 56. Nobody has come into pit yet. As that is Pastrana now. Labonte got a little bit of a gap, but he is going to get held up again.
Problem. Yep.
This one might actually hurt him even more as Harvick, we would assume, would get clear as well.
And is going to actually make an attempt at it. I think, nope. Bobby's going to be able to cut that nose, and I think that really, when you make that move like that, you really hurt yourself as the following car. Because it seems like when they make that move to dive in like that, they don't seem to really line the corner up as well as you would want to.
So we're coming to 50 to go, so you can definitely make it from here. But I'd say the battle is on to, I'd say, the end of this race, and it's going to come down to the pit crews.
Absolutely. As Harvick's now going to look to the outside, will we see him use the move that Bobby has used so well to get around? And actually, they're both going to come this time. So this is going to be the moment.
It's actually Harrison Burton as well.
And I believe Denny Hamlin is finally, well, no, because he's still behind Kurt Busch.
Yeah.
So unless,
so Busch
well, no,
makes a
Kurt's going to come in.
dive.
So Denny is in fact going to lead his first lap of the race. But the battle and what we want to, I would say, watch more than anything is the pit stops between Kevin Harvick and Bobby Labonte.
It's actually, we've got a mixed field as the top, 10 right now have stayed out. Being going to Hibbs, and that'd be 11 to Moffitt, Suarez, and Alfredo, I believe, last. Well, no, there's a lot of guys actually stayed out. About half the field. It's Weinmiller, the first one on pit road.
Who's going to make it off pit road first? Is it going to be Bobby? Is it going to be Harvick? It's Barsha?
Barsha was lapped, I believe. It's going to be Harvick.
Oh my God, Bobby's pit crew for the second week in a row.
Even Bubba Wallace.
Oh, that pit crew has been fired.
What just happened?
That pit crew has been fired right there.
As everybody else comes in, so we'll keep an eye to see. So Harvick actually was the first one out. So we will see where Harvick ends up in relation to these guys. As Harvick's pit crew at 14.8. Greg's actually 14.8 as well. Labonte at 25.5.
And it makes no sense.
As Hamlin is off pit road. Even Hamlin's going to lose a bunch of time. To the point where Harrison Burton is going to get around Hamlin as well. Tell you what, the two JRC team guys have come to show late in this race. Is actually Haley Deacon is your leader. She comes to pit road this time. Yeah. Don't think she's going to lead this lap.
She might.
I don't know where the line. Oh, no, she won't. Okay.
Nope, she's got a pit box before it, so no. No, she will not. So the question, I guess, now is where it is it sorted out with Bobby Labonte?
He will be 10th, 11th.
Oh my God. I'm going to be arrested for murder tonight.
Keegan Leahy dominated the Coke race as well with the server issues and all that.
So I'm going to be arrested for virtual murder tonight. So just leave it at that.
Well, so this will answer your question potentially. Repeat winner. The JRC team, 14.8 for Harvick. Actually, the best stop. The only driver in the 14 second bracket in the top 10. Tomac had a 14.1 as Labonte has gotten around Tomac already. So I'm sure he's going to try and drive the wheels off that thing like we saw just before the pit stops. But Harrison Burton a 15.3. So, you know, his thing though is going to be Kurt Busch is only a second back, but Denny Hamlin a second back from Busch, and Weinmiller have second behind Hamlin. So, as this is not good for Harvick, his lead I just said was what, 2.5. It is already down to 1.5.
Yeah, it's
actually under a second now.
But we know that Harvick's thing is a little bit of saving the tires and
holy shit,
getting there at the end. But certainly,
and I'm going to say that, you know, obviously this is not made for children. We want to be professional, but I'm saying that in the, I guess you could say, best way possible. But that was just a full 2-second loss. As now Harrison's going to basically give it all back here as Jeffrey is going to run the bottom. And Kurt Busch is not going to gain it on him.
We'll see how this goes to the end, but certainly there's a lot of things that could still happen. I would say none of these guys are really out of the woods yet, but Harrison Burton certainly the big winner, I think, out of the whole thing so far. The big loser is Bobby Labonte's pit crew.
I hear Hamlin. Yep, I was going to say, I heard him coming. Weinmiller's still a good ways back, but this is going to be the battle for right now. I mean, Harrison is a 99, so, I mean, these guys are going to, you know, obviously plenty of time to get back to them.
Yeah, there's certainly the moment that we've been waiting for. As I post something in the driver's chat for Xfinity.
we'll see. Actually, Hamlin can't complete the pass, and even with that, they can't get around Jeffrey Earnhardt.
Yeah, this is really interesting to watch because now you know the two JRC cars are looking at this and going, this is what we want to see for sure.
Which actually, who's my fourth drive? Oh, Majeski.
Majeski.
Who
Yes.
right now actually gets the last development point, as Kyle Busch, unfortunately, 1 lap behind him.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about my team's night tonight.
All right, well, we talked about it before we went on the air. I needed some good luck finally, and I would say a 1-2 with the guy in second, if he can somehow hang on, would be definitely a big improvement. But Hamlin made the pass, and he has gapped Kurt Busch already.
Absolutely, and Bobby Labonte is going the wrong way. Expected 12.
Okay. I want to say he got caught on the high side because he was on the move.
Probably.
Which,
that's
well,
okay.
at the same
People
time,
are
we
gonna
can't
die.
say that because we've seen people up top, like Pittman right here, wasn't even at Jenkins' right rear quarter and has now pulled even, if not going to complete this pass coming off turn 2. A little wiggle, maybe not.
Yeah, that wiggle I think is going to hurt him there. And it is weird to say, well, maybe Bobby got caught on the outside because Bobby was making a living on the outside.
Unless he did that, went a little high, like Darren just did. But
and he might have. Denny kind of struggling a little bit with Danica there for a moment, and Jeffrey. Looks like he's finally going to get around those two. That was a whole moment for them.
We'll keep an eye on the gaps here, but Denny, so Burton to Harvick 1.9, Denny to Harvick 3 even, and then Denny to Burton of second. So
yeah, but we've seen it all night that Kevin just comes on at the end of the stage, and if he is leading at the end of this stint, it's over.
We'll see. I would argue not domination like we figured, but I will say with the way my luck's been, and you obviously know from last night in the truck race, and then earlier even in the sim truck race, nothing is set in stone when it comes to iRacing for me lately.
Yeah, and as we know, when it comes to my luck, well, pit crew members get murdered, apparently. I didn't think I was going to have to move to that drastic an option, but, I mean, seriously, 2 races in a row. You leave me with no choice.
Yeah, and, unfortunately here, actually, where is... So Nadu actually a 15-6 stop. This is the worst he's been all night, I think.
Yeah, it's...
So this is kind of bad for the whole field, potentially. First repeat winner, your point leader already, and obviously going to extend that lead.
I would argue that the repeat winner part is a good thing.
Yes, but as far as playoff points, though, that's a whole other 5 points he's going to gain.
Yes, that's the bad part of it. The good part of it is that with a repeat winner, now there's, more of the prospect of, hey, guy that isn't in, that's behind me is now in. It's now the guy that's leading the points is just getting further ahead in the points. So it's interesting to note on who's going to be happy, who's going to be mad, but certainly looks like as we come to this final stage, it's just Bobby and Nadu. Just for whatever reason, this final stint, they're just struggling.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised about Bobby. Again, obviously the lap car helped Harvick at the end, but Harvick, was catching him, and then, obviously was there coming to pit stops. But I figured, and we can argue kind of the same thing with Briscoe too from stage 1. It's got to be dirty air, because Briscoe got mired in the back, and he's only managed to get to 19th.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. But what miffs me the most about this, Kevin Harvick's pit crew is perfect every time, just about. His pit crew skill is a 54. Bobby Hamilton's pit crew is arguably Bobby Labonte, not Bobby Hamilton. Bobby Labonte's pit crew has arguably been the worst pit crew in the series. They're an 88. At this point, I'm quoting Vegeta. Power levels are fucking bullshit.
Well, I mean, I won't argue they've been spot on, obviously, tonight, but I know there has been a couple instances where they've kind of slacked off, I'll say. Not necessarily terrible, but they haven't been up to par.
I would argue terrible.
I mean, that works, obviously, but...
Yeah, it's, as we actually see, the battle for second start to shape up, and here comes Denny Hamlin.
30 to go.
And who would have guessed it, right? We put Denny Hamlin in the same series with Kevin Harvick. And what the hell happens in the first race that the two of them are in there together?
They run 1-2.
Yeah. What is this, 2020 again?
Yeah. 2020 Cup Series goes to the NORA Sim Xfinity Series.
Good Lord.
But Chastain, arguably, I would say he's been probably the best car long run, too.
Yeah, he's certainly done very well on the long run. And you've got to enjoy watching that out of some of these guys. They really have figured out the long run cars. But some guys, and you could see that just sometimes you get stuck behind a lapper. Are we going to make this? Okay, we did not make that 3 wide with a lap car. I was a little worried there. But, it's still possible that we don't make it out of this without another caution. He says as one might occur there.
Ooh, they're trying.
They certainly are trying. Oh, Danica really cuts the nose off of Ross Chastain there. But, yeah, there is still the possibility of a caution. I'm not going to say that there is going to be a caution, but we have seen it.
I'll just put it this way. A JRC guy's leading, so if there's ever going to be a caution, it's going to be now.
Quick, somebody throw debris on the racetrack.
Yeah, seriously. Real quick, while I have you, what time are we thinking in sim for the Cup race?
Well, I believe...
Actually, it won't matter. There's no rain anyway. So the Cup race will have obviously the largest amount of rubber to start, and obviously that'll help through the race. But it's also, again, larger race and a full field of 42. And so we will send 2 guys home. So that'll be interesting to note as well. But interesting to note here, Harvick. Hamlin got the second, about 2.3 second gap. That gap has been extended to 2.7.
Yeah, and I'm questioning if that gap was extended during the battle that Hamlin had to have.
Been there for a couple laps at this point.
Okay. As for our in start time, technically the Cup Series starts at 3 o'clock or 3:30 Eastern in Vegas. So I think that's 11:30.
Okay. So we will have, I believe it'll be partly cloudy skies tomorrow. It'll be chilly again, more humidity than what we have now. A lot of wind. Oh my.
Oof.
Talk about a record high, 17 miles per hour.
Oof.
So it'll be 64 degrees, which obviously 51, but we can only go to 64. 73 humidity, which just to kind of check that. It's not on this one. Okay, sorry, false alarm. 73 humidity though, I know that is higher. Wind though, 17 to the southwest.
Yeah, that's...
And then cloud cover 70%, which I believe from the way we do it will be mostly cloudy, which knowing iRacing will probably end up being overcast. But yeah.
It's going to be an interesting race, to say the least.
Yeah, it's interesting as it is, let alone a 17-mile-an-hour wind pushing these guys around the racetrack.
Yeah, and we already know that the Cup cars have tended to be a slight little bit of a, what you might call, wreckfest.
Yeah, yeah, that's going to be interesting. I just hope, hopefully, I know you mentioned it earlier, I think when we were off air, Harvick was probably my best chance to turn my iRacing luck around, and right now he's doing that, which I would say arguably going to put him in a case for most laps led, which obviously no bonus points from that, but as we are going to get held up behind Pastrana. So let's see the gap, 2.5, and that's going to probably be nothing.
I was going to say, this is going to be a big hold up here. I think he's going to clear him there, but that's still a large
So
chunk of time.
I didn't think 2.5 seconds was a full straightaway here, but wow. I expected Hamlin to be right there. They actually only lost 0.2 according to timing and scoring. Well, never mind. Now it's 2.1, and now it's 1.7. Okay, so forget what I just said about only a little bit of time. 32.2 to Hamlin's 31.8. So.
But as we know, now Hamlin, he wasn't close enough to take advantage of the pass that Harvick made on Travis Pastrana. Now he has to make the pass on Travis Pastrana. And that means that now Pastrana potentially could hold him up. As
kind of checking in.
Bobby just kind of not doing anything at this point.
Yeah. Well, here's a battle here. Nadeau's going to get back by Hibbs due to, well, maybe not, and check up. But like I said, I am just kind of shocked at this point. Briscoe obviously, I would say, dominated stage 1. Nadeau ran up front, top, we'll say 10th-ish. Most of the race, and he has been struggling ever since. And then even Bobby, I would say, dominated stage 2, or stage 3. Yes.
Stage 3, yeah.
And so we missed that one. Hamlin got by clean, but actually lost time. It's back to 2.1 as we are now at the NORA. 20 to go.
So I guess he didn't get by fully clean, essentially, as Bobby's not going to be deciding to go behind his teammate. And that's the wrong decision, Bobby.
Not sure if she has damage or not. I think she did at one point, correct?
I'm pretty sure she's just slow.
Well, she's 4 down, and so is Pastrana. So I would say at some point she had damage.
I'm pretty sure she had damage, but I would also say she is just slow at this point.
That's possible. But I would say on a normal night, proper decision. But on tonight, maybe not. But
I don't even know on a normal night.
But interesting to note, though, granted it won't help as far as the attribute points are concerned, but Pastrana, like I said, 4 down. So you would imagine even with being down on power, she will be able to gain that spot, which will obviously help on points. Majeski kind of riding there, 1 lap down. Ryan beat the next car to go 1 down here. Actually, I would say about a corner.
Yep. And that could be a challenge for Harvick, because I think he's not the worst off skill rating wise, but certainly he's not the best either. But certainly, a little bit of a challenge is Bobby maybe now starting to figure out that high line again. And possibly going to try and get some positions here at the end.
I noticed a lot of guys on the bottom seem to be, I want to say, getting loose. It seems like you saw it from the backfire right there from Tomac. They lift a lot when they happen to run down there.
As I think we just saw Chastain moving into the picture on Weinmiller, yeah.
I saw the gap up front closing very rapidly, and that would be the reason why. You mentioned Ryan beat, not terrible for say as far as skill rating, but yeah, that gap has gone from about 2.3 to now just above 1 second, and I'm sure by the time to come off turn 2 it'll be under a second, and it is 9/10 as of right now past the last scoring loop.
Now the point to kind of look at here, though, we're starting to get into that point where every time we saw Harvick would start to just decide, okay, tires are good enough, we're gone.
I mean, yeah, we'll have to see.
As I think
Bonnie still 12th. What you got?
Yep. I thought Chastain might have got around Weinmiller.
Yes, he did.
I thought that was. Yeah. And I think he's not far behind Kurt Busch now. We had mentioned it earlier, he's got long run speed.
Tell me that's not Harrison.
It is Harrison.
Why? This is twice.
I don't understand.
35 laps into a run, you can get 50. They were pushing almost 60 on fuel, and we're going to pit from 4th place. Nick, I'm going to lose it.
How do you think I feel with Bobby's pit crew?
Well, now I'm worried about Harvick because we're at that point where it happened to Rowdy Burns leading.
Yeah, hopefully that's the only one where it happens to, because that's continuing to be ridiculous. Unless there is some kind of inherent problem that is popping up in those race cars that is causing them to have to hit pit road.
He wasn't even the only one. Austin Dillon's in too. And so's Tomac. So this time we get 3 that hit pit road.
Is there maybe an overheating issue?
So now I'm curious. Because last race it was just 1. And now it's 3.
It's 3.
And that changes up the running order a whole bunch. Because now Labonte, just like that, into the top 10, getting 2 skill points.
He's now getting 3.
12th. That's true, you're right. As I believe Braxton's coming in.
What is going on?
And Pittman. And
what
Chastain.
Is going on?
Dude, we might be in for a hell of a finish. Hamlin's coming in.
And there comes Denny.
What is going on? Boys, we are in for a hell of a finish.
You know what I have to question? Did the teams not put in enough fuel?
Well, I'm going to ride along. I don't know if we actually will get accurate numbers here, but I want to see. Okay, so we do get accurate oil temp numbers. Harvick looks good. That puts Kurt Busch to second, 5.4 seconds back.
I am in shock because all of a sudden Bobby Labonte just went from he's running in 12th to I have a top 5 now.
And even Nadeau. But Moffitt stays out. Alfredo stays out.
I think I saw somebody else duck to the inside on that back stretch like they were going to pit.
Nobody up front. Oh, Weinmiller from 3rd.
Yep. And let's see. There goes Craven. What is going on with 10 to go?
I would say we're not done seeing people guys pit either.
I don't understand.
What
if Bobby wins because nobody put enough gas on their car? What is going on?
Dude, my nerves are getting rattled because
yours and mine both, because we both have a driver up here.
Here comes Reddick.
There goes Reddick.
Here comes Hamlin. So actually, Harrison Burton jumped Hamlin on pit road. Burton had a 13.9 pit stop.
Here's the problem, though, right now. Right? They're coming through. They're a lap down.
Yeah, this is the battle. Actually, it's Ryan Beat right now, who was 1 down originally. So he hasn't pitted. He's on 40 laps. But all right, Harvick stayed out.
Only 12 cars haven't pit a second time. What?
No, 10 have not pitted. Well, technically 11, yes. Ryan Beat, first car 1 lap down, has not pitted yet. He's on 41 laps. So top 11 have stayed out so far. Harvick is going to stay, as he's got a full straightaway now on Kurt Busch, who is 5.5 seconds back. Leroy Jenkins, not 10 seconds back. Bobby 11, Nadeau 15.6. This is going to be interesting. I'm getting nervous, if I'm being honest. Tell you what, though, beneficiary from all this, Anthony Alfredo. I don't think he's been top 25 all race. He's now 8th.
I mean, Barsha, Suarez, too? Like, what has happened?
Well, like I said, it's close. I mean, they'll be at lap 50. I thought he was coming in. I saw the backfire. I swore he was coming in. But so they're on lap 43. It'll be 44 when they cross the line right here, which would be, right at that 50 lap window. I don't understand why you would when they just went close to 60, but I am not on the pit box, so.
Well, and maybe they didn't save as much last time.
We'll see. We're coming to 5 to go. I think, I'm going to say this, and I hope I'm not going to jinx it, but I would assume.
If you're staying out, you're staying out at this point.
Yeah. Which, big hit for Denny. Actually, Harrison Burton got back around Denny.
Yeah, and it's not as bad of a situation for either of them because so many guys did come to pit road. I mean, it's certainly worse off from where they were running, but to end up in the top 12, it's certainly a better situation than, like I said, it could have been.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's not as bad because a lot, like over half the field actually pitted and only 11 haven't. But I'm still just baffled as we are, I believe, 3. No, still 4 to go. Okay. Um, I don't know. I am at a loss of words. These guys are catching Ryan beat for 11th. Suarez up the road just a little bit. Is Harvick gonna get held up? Luckily, he's got a 5.5-second gap back to Kurt Busch.
And we kept asking for it, and they finally given it to us in the weirdest way. But we
Yeah,
have
I
pit
don't.
strategy.
I don't know. Oh boy.
Kyle just said no.
Which I would
We're
argue
done
too.
here.
A caution isn't even out of the picture because a lot of these guys like Hamlin, 15 2-second
But
stop.
but a caution now ends the race because we don't have green white
Oh, that is
checkers
a
in
good
AI
point.
yet.
Actually, I forgot about that. So 2 to go. Harvick in the catbird seat as of right now because he's even getting held up. Kurt Busch actually kind of getting held up as well as Hamlin's going to try and get around him as they're trying to catch Ryan beat to get that 1 extra point.
And I would think maybe the closest battle of lead lap guys is probably maybe Bobby and Leroy. And that's not really much of one.
It's half a second. That is the closest though. So we will be coming
No.
to the white flag.
His pit crew is still getting murdered, but Bobby's okay.
Best case scenario for Bobby. And even actually, Jerry Nadeau.
Yeah.
We're on the white flag though. As Hamlin has gotten around beat, so we will just see what Burton can do here on the last lap as this one is pretty much sealed up.
And he just kind of rides behind Beat, so it looks like he's
Oh,
kind of okay with finishing 13th.
you say that.
Oh, that's correct.
Corner.
I forgot Beat was a battle for position.
As Harvick takes the win, your first repeat winner gonna be Kevin Harvick. Harrison Burton will get around for 12th, but Kurt Busch, first race, and come home second. Leroy Jenkins gonna be third. Bobby Labonte 4th. Jerry Nadeau gonna get 5th. Jack Moff gonna be 6th.
Is that? Oh, nope. I thought Chase Briscoe was 7th. Nope, he is one of the
Briscoe
guys
fell
that
way
did
back as well.
Yeah.
Alfredo going to be 8th. Barsha going to be 9th. Daniel Suarez looking into a top 10.
And Denny Hamlin 11th.
Yeah, Hamlin 11th. We will
first car a lap down.
Go to the final grid as, again, a very weird finish there, but
yeah, and I don't know why.
But hey, I'll take it. We needed some luck. We finally got it. Kevin Harvick, repeat winner. I believe 1 stage win. Well, actually, we swept stages, didn't we? No. Who won stage 2?
Stage 2 went to Wine Miller.
Correct. Harvick was second. So, okay, so just the 5 for the stage or the race win. But Kevin Harvick, repeat winner, going to extend his point lead over Nadeau, not by as much as we originally thought it was going to be. But, yeah, that's interesting. But Kurt Busch, first race with Outlaw Racing. Or, sorry, RCR. My apologies, RCR. Second, Leroy Jenkins third, Bobby Labonte 4th, Jerry Nadeau 5th, trying to minimize the damage, so to speak. Jack Moss 6th, Brett Moffitt 7th for Outlaw Racing. Teammate Anthony Alfredo 8th, which again we said hadn't run inside the top 25 all night. He gets 8th by half the field pitting for whatever reason, which again, AI, we will never know. Justin Barsha 9th, and the third teammate to Moffitt and Alfredo, Daniel Suarez, getting a top 10 as well.
Yeah, incredible job by Outlaw getting 3 cars in the top 10. Denny Hamlin comes home 11th, Harrison Burton in 12th. Ryan Beat comes home 13th. 14th is Ross Chastain. 15th is Darren Pittman. 16th is Austin Dillon. 17th is Shane Weinmiller. 18th is Noah Gregson. 19th is Eli Tomac. 20th is Ricky Craven.
Yeah, that whole last page, guys that pitted, and even this page, guys that, well, for the most part, pitted there at the end. But Tyler Reddick, 21st. Matt Hibbs, 22nd. Bubba Wallace, actually matched Denny Hamlin. Hamlin was car 11, finished 11th. Bubba Wallace car 23, finishes 23rd. Chase Briscoe dominated stage 1. Got mired back from his pit crew, and unlike Bobby, couldn't take advantage of the pit stops and or track position at all, and ends up 24th. Jason Anderson 25th, Jarrett Brooks 26th. These guys got lapped, I want to say 2 times on track. Haley Deegan, Doug Mytag 27-28. Ty Majeski got damage between himself and Jeb Burton. Finishes 29th, and Jeffrey Earnhardt going to be 30th, and actually I believe his first, not his first skill point, never mind, but he'll be 30th.
Cooper Webb comes home 31st, Danica Patrick in 32nd. Travis Pastrana in 33rd. Kyle Busch comes home 34th. Jeb Burton 35th. And that is the field because, yeah. We're going to have a talking to with the Nightmare cars.
Well, and I would argue...
Bobby's exempt. His pit crew's now dead. They're in a ditch somewhere outside of the track. And the other drivers are getting talked to because I don't know what the hell Kyle Busch did, but I'm not happy.
Well, I would say that kind of goes along with the whole why did 3/4 of the field just pit with under 20 to go when you can make it on fuel situation.
Yeah, but they didn't stay on pit road and go 3 laps down and screw themselves out of the race.
Good point.
I mean, they did screw themselves out of the race, but not as hard as Kyle Busch did. So,
but
there will be worse.
Final thoughts, I guess, as we normally do. I know tomorrow we actually, well, you not as much as far as being in the booth, but you will obviously be racing tomorrow night as far as I know. But final thoughts, I guess I'll actually go first since I kind of have it short and sweet because I actually got lucky and luckily I had 2 drivers up front and one pitted and one didn't. But we touched on it most of the preseason, most of Daytona. Obviously, Harvick was the man to beat on the 1.5 miles, and maybe not a dominating performance tonight, besides maybe the ending there, running Bobby down, and then obviously taking the lead and kind of hanging on. But, yeah, second win, more playoff points, which I think that is more of a problem for the field than anything as of right now. He's already the first driver with double-digit playoff points, I believe, through any series so far, which obviously they could change tomorrow with the Cup race. But, yeah, only the one caution, surprisingly, which... again, I'm going to use our GT4 term as kind of parts being made out of paper because I don't think Jeb should have been able, Jeb should have been able to make the pit road, in my opinion. I don't know obviously what happened mechanically, but it seemed like he was good, and then all of a sudden he's kind of like, I'm just going to pull right here and just get a tow and bring out a yeller. But yeah, just the one caution, I believe, which I can actually double check that. Oh, wrong button. Yeah, just 3 cautions for 12 laps, 6 lead changes, so not too bad. I think for not knowing what to expect, I think it was good. Tomorrow, obviously the Cup race. I'll be honest, I'm a bit nervous for that one, but now get your final thoughts. Like I said, I'm obviously glad as a team owner to get a win, and actually the only driver for me inside the top 10, so that's a little disappointing. But yeah, finally got me a win. It's been 3 races from hell so far the past, even the sim and the NORA actual series, but finally got one. Glad it was Kevin. But yeah, I guess your final thoughts and what you expect for tomorrow.
Well, with it being in the middle of the day, and by the middle of the day, I literally mean noon. That's going to be interesting because that sun, if it's going to end up doing the same thing it's done for each race, that sun is going to be baking that racetrack with the full rubber of the race. It's going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Highline is going to see a lot more action than it has in either of the 2 races. And it saw some good bit tonight.
Yeah, I agree. Well, again, something I noted on, it seemed like that, I kind of had a mixed name for it, like the groove and a half, second groove, it seemed to work. And I agree. I think tomorrow, I think you'll mainly see the bottom be the preferred line when you're by yourself. But I think that, again, that groove and a half, second groove, maybe even the third and fourth will be a factor. I know tomorrow, I'm going to try something. I'm going to set it to 100, obviously, because I think at this point we would clearly be at 100.
Oh, absolutely.
But I'm going to have a little bit of a longer practice because I don't think it's going to be this dark as far as rubber just to begin with, even with it at 100.
No, I would argue that this might even be at 150.
Yeah, it's up
Theoretically.
there because the AI do lay some rubber. I know it's a lot heavier than what we do, even with a full field. But yeah, I think I'm going to start it at 100 tomorrow whenever we get on, and I'm going to let practice run for a decent bit. Try and get it close to what we're at, and then we can kind of go from there. Because obviously it's going to be a longer race regardless. But no, I agree. I think from all the practices, I know the teams have gone through quite a few race cars so far since we've been in Kentucky, but I think it'll be interesting. I think you'll see a lot more. I don't want to be right when I say this, but I think you'll see a lot more carnage. I think you'll see a lot more aggressiveness. More 100s, more high 90 guys, more aggressiveness ratings over there. And I don't know. The only thing I will contradict of what you said about being in the middle of the day with the sun, it is going to supposed to be mostly cloudy. Again, iRacing, sometimes you put it mostly cloudy and it comes out to be partly cloudy, or vice versa. If you put it partly cloudy and it comes out overcast. So it's supposed to be mostly cloudy, but we'll see. But that could also obviously play into the track temp and all that good stuff. But no, it'll be interesting for sure. I know JRC boys are kind of itching to get back there, especially Ryan Blaney. Again, we could kind of argue he almost had Homestead wrapped up, at least for the time being. Definitely stage 2, and fortunately we hit halfway and had some rain pop in and ruin that race. But yeah, I'm sure Blaney's hungry. I know your guys anxious to get out there. I know Ryan Hunter Ray's got a fresh scheme he's going to be putting on.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think we got actually a couple more new drivers we're going to be bringing out tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. I believe actually they are the Outlaw guys. I think. Am I just checking?
No,
No.
no, I believe they've made it in for the Cup race. I don't believe we have any new drivers in the Cup Series.
Oh, that's right, because we're a full field. Duh.
Yep.
So yeah, so everybody's already there. But yeah, final thoughts. I mean, I know I kind of already said some stuff, but very weird ending. Like I said, the top 10, actually top 10, and then Sorry, he finished 13th. All stayed out 48, 49 laps on that stint. As far as Labani and Nadu are concerned, they definitely lucked out on that one, minimizing the damage, so to speak. And did what they could, I guess. They stayed out. They capitalized on everybody else pitting for whatever reason. I'm glad it just wasn't one car this time and 2/3 or 3/4 of the field pitted, but definitely odd. And tomorrow will be interesting as well because we know they obviously cannot make it a full stage on fuel. So
Yep. That's the one thing that we do love about the Cup Series.
but needless to say, we got a big day tomorrow. We got that full distance Cup race, and then obviously you will be tackling the Daytona Road Course as far as the NORA the actual NORA Cup Series is concerned. So we got 2 Cup races tomorrow. We'll have the Sim Series probably around noonish, a little early again, and then I, as of right now, will be in the booth for the actual NORA Cup Series event at the Daytona Road Course. But yeah, busy day tomorrow for me as far as being in the booth. I know you got obviously booth time and a little bit of a race, and you never know. Maybe if I know you said depending on if you run the whole thing or not, maybe you can pop in the booth with me and run that one with me.
Yeah, we're gonna aim to at least get to the halfway point. Part of it is I know how my knee gets a little bit with some of the road course racing, especially in stock cars. It gets a little bit tougher on me than the like the GT3s and whatnot. And with Bathurst being on Saturday, I kind of want to be at full bore for that. So there's a little bit of that playing into it as well. But it's going to be a get to about half. Definitely going to be get to halfway. I'll drive that car to halfway as long as it doesn't wreck out before then. Because that car did not have a lot of luck at Daytona.
Yeah, I mean, one thing too though, and touched on it, I think, when we talked the other night. One thing, obviously we can't do in the Sim series, but we're going to the quote unquote random draw, starting for race number 3. So obviously for the Cup series, that will be next week at Homestead. The trucks are off, but we have that grid set already. But it's based off owners' points. So even if you go in and just run, say, the first 2 stages, if 3, 4, 5 guys wreck out or leave or whatever, or even if they don't show up and we only get 20 cars and nobody wrecks and you still finish 20th, well, you're still getting 20th place points as opposed to you saying just being in the booth and not getting any points for that car.
Exactly.
Which obviously helps us out later in the season. So.
Yep, and that's the whole reason that I have said I'm going to go. Basically, I'll say the goal is to get to halfway, but I'm going to drive that car until I can't drive it anymore. Essentially, once I get to that point where it's just like, all right, I can't do it anymore for the night. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I respect that, but after all, it is more so your car more than mine. So I know obviously down the road, the races you want to run and stuff, that'll obviously help you out as well. Obviously, because if you're not racing, you're in the booth or something with me. Obviously we'll try and fill it with somebody, but yeah, that'll help us out for sure whenever we want to jump back in. But yeah. Lastly, I know it was supposed to be broadcasted on our channel last night, but we had some admin and stuff issues, just real life stuff getting in the way, and we had it broadcasted by Brett Wheeler at Ultimate Dirt TV. But I'm sure they aren't watching right now, but I will try and get them to tune in tomorrow night. But something I will touch on right now, and probably for the foreseeable future, for at least the rest of the week, since it's kind of fresh. But thoughts and prayers to the Niels family. We lost a great member of NORA, even the Irish community in general, not even just NORA, but great guy, supported NORA however he could, whether it be the dirt side, asphalt side. I know he was big in dirt in real life as well. Brian Niels lost his fight with cancer, I believe now it would be 2 days ago. I'm sorry, don't butcher me for not remembering exactly. It's been a hectic month for me as well, but again, I'll try and get them to tune in tomorrow, and again, kind of do a moment of silence like Wheeler did for us last night. He was kind enough to kind of step in, and he did give us a moment of silence and kind of a little tribute, somewhat speech for Brian. So again, I kind of, even though it is a sim race and whatnot, I do want to, again, thoughts and prayers to the Niels family. I know it's tough to lose somebody, and again, I'm kind of going to be going through the same thing here shortly, but not about me, it's about them. If you guys need anything, again, I'm sure you're not watching the sim race, but if you guys need anything, feel free to reach out to the NORA page directly, myself, Conover, me, or just anybody. I know, like I said, Brian supported us whenever he could by showing up, running with us. We want to give the same thing back to you guys and show you guys the support he gave us and the love. So again, just thoughts and prayers to you guys. I know it's tough, but like I said, if you ever need anything, feel free to reach out to the NORA page or myself, Josh Conover, or like I said, just anybody in the league. Like I said, Brian was a great guy, always supported us, and like I said, we're going to try and repay the favor the best we can. But Nick, if you got anything else to add, I think we're good for our doubleheader night.
I think we're just ready to move on to the Cup Series tomorrow morning-ish.
Yeah, hopefully I won't sleep as late tomorrow and can kind of get that going quick. I know it's a little bit of a longer one, but I think it'll be good to be in the booth a little early tomorrow, get me a little bit warmed up for say, get my vocals going and stuff. But yeah, I think we're good. So for our doubleheader night until I guess we'll say tomorrow morning-ish, afternoon-ish, I'm Josh Conover, as always, for the Sim Series, my counterpart, Mr.
Nick Eilis.
We will see you guys